There we go. There I am. Hey, everybody. I've been working really hard on a lot of different things, including setting up some new stuff within StreamYard and layouts in different rooms that we've got. So apologies for the technical difficulties. But here I am. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I am really excited about tonight, you guys. Just as a quick FYI, I won't probably be bringing anyone up right away. I have a lot to cover. There's a lot of information that I want to get out to everybody. If you haven't heard about this, you're going to hear about it now. And it's really exciting. You guys, this is, I think, of the moments in my crypto story history, this is probably one of the most exciting moments because I think we're going to be a part of some real groundbreaking history making marketing endeavor. And, you know, a lot of you were here around the time that Hex was being created, right? You guys had the opportunity to be in rooms with Richard and to be in Telegram chats with him and to talk to him about, you know, and from what I'm seeing, you know, now it's like he wants to have this hive mind, right? Like more of us together. I mean, you guys, this is sci-vive, right? More of us together working on a thing is better than less of us. So, you know, I'm equating it to thinking about the battle with the SEC, right? So if he had his all-star legal team there, you know, helping him out with that, that's what we kind of are now, right? Like we're the ones that are going to be his team to get the word out and make this marketing endeavor successful. So if you haven't heard by any chance at this point, there is now a huge marketing endeavor happening, or it's in the works, basically. What we know. What I'm going to do, instead of me just talking off the top of my head, I'm going to bring up the pinned note that's in the Telegram, and I'm going to read through that, and then I'm going to read 3 or 4 different links for USPS. Some of this might get some kind of boring, or you know, might not be interesting to you, but this is the information that has to get out there for us to be successful. Now, most of what we're focusing on right now is the US endeavor, right? Because that's kind of where a lot of us are. It seems as if in terms of cost, it's going to be one of the least expensive ways to do it. And it's, you know, we've got a lot of boots on the ground already in the US. From what I understand, the number one thing we are currently trying to get for this endeavor is an already existing 501c3 whose mission statement revolves around tech, like literacy, right? Financial education, something along those lines. That is one of the biggest asks right now. So if you or someone you know has a 501c3 that is already established, that has that kind of background or that kind of mission statement, that is absolute key right now. I don't know why these people keep popping, but hey, hi, I see you guys in the green room again. Just to let you know, I'm gonna be like just talking for a little while, so I will bring people up eventually. If you have your own channel, please consider streaming this out to your own audience so that more people get the word, more people hear what's happening, and more people have the ability and the opportunity to move this endeavor forward and get things going as quickly as possible. I think that's part of the reason why we're looking for an already established 501c3, because, you know, the process of creating a nonprofit in that way can take months. I actually do sit on the board already of a nonprofit. Totally not not eligible for this. That they're all about growing food and educating people on growing their own food. So I do have a little bit of background in that sector, right? So let's go. And all y'all in the chat, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. I'm going to be a little, focused on reading and getting this information out, and probably not going to be saying hi to the chat much like RG would. So forgive me for that. But thank you guys so much for showing up and for being a part of this, right? Let me bring up the Telegram, and we're going to just kind of go through that. Give me a moment here. I'm a little nervous, guys. I'm never nervous. But it's, this is big. This is a really big deal. I mean, imagine this being the largest marketing endeavor ever. I've seen messages coming down the pipe talking, about 100 million of these devices being sent out to people. Now, that's another thing, is we don't know exactly what it is. But from what I understand, it's more about the branding of the item versus the actual item itself, right? Like, we're going to be, there will be items that will be donated and given, and they will have information about Pulse Chain and Hex from what I understand so far. So let me get the Telegram up here. Just a moment. Present. Share screen. Window. Okay. Let me see if I can add this here. And again, hopefully, okay, great. Hopefully that's all good and well. So I'm just going to read through this, and then I'll probably read through this, and then we'll go to Richard's X account and read through some of those posts. And then I'm going to read some boring US Postal Service information. But again, it's absolutely necessary for people that are interested in doing this to know these things. So let's go back to the Telegram. Hopefully everyone can see everything all right. If you're able to assist in this endeavor and you are not already in this Telegram group, please join. It is t.me/filter for mail. You can see it right there in the top right corner. That's the name of the group. And let me I'm just going to read through this. So this is part of this. Some of you know Richard had a Simple X account for a moment. That was kind of a pardon my language, it turned into a little bit of a shit show, but only because of Simple X not having the ability to handle a lot of chat. So there were people in there talking back and forth. Messages were getting disappeared. Things weren't showing up. It just wasn't working out correctly. So this Telegram room was created after the Simple X kind of didn't lend itself to our cause, to helping out with what we needed it to do. So all need to know info, and this pinned message will be constantly updated as we go, right? Like every day as I'm hearing things, as messages are coming down the pipe, I will update this pinned message. We're going to have just one message pinned there so it doesn't get lost in the mix. It is a lot, but that's why I'm going over it now, and that's why I'm bringing your attention to it, because this is where the most up-to-date stuff is going to be happening. So, all right, so all need to know info. What we need is a logistics company in the US, a free trade zone to receive multiple 40-foot containers of electronic devices. I've heard everything from 1 to 5 of these 40-foot containers. So, that's kind of, I think, dependent on how things go and how we move forward. So that can change. For the US right now, we need this free trade zone, right? Or again, like I said, if someone already has a viable educational nonprofit. And again, guys, I'm not checking the chat on YouTube or StreamYard or anything right now. So if you're like, hey, SJ, I can do this, I can do that thing, you need to go into the Telegram group and put the message there, because I'm not going to sit here and like watch all the messages right now. So just keep that in mind. Richard also has posted several things on his own X page, or the Richard Hart account has posted that. So go ahead, and if you also have information, you can go there. From what I understand, he's checking that out, and maybe or his team, they're reading through those things. So just make sure that gets put either in the Telegram or posted to the Richard Hart X account. All right, so back to this. So the US, we're looking for the free trade zone. Other countries, we need an entity to be donated to, preferably a charity so that there's no import tax. And guessing, right? So these were some words that were put into the Simplex chat. So, again, we're here doing this as a hive mind. If you are an expert in any of this, please reach out, get in the Telegram group, mention that. You can DM me and let me know, because this is what we're doing, guys. This is like, I'm so excited right now because this is like, we're building Hexaco, right? Okay. Other countries, I said that already. So we need an entity in other countries for this stuff to be donated to. Again, preferably a charity. It could include these free electronic devices as part of its mission to promote blockchain tech. So that seems to be a very important part of this, is that the mission statement of the charity or the group that is getting these donations should include that it is some kind of finance, blockchain related education mission statement for this group. All right, so again, this is something that was said in Simplex. Containers full of things, these electronic devices, will exist soon, and they need to go somewhere and be shipped. If what does the shipping is a charity and it's on mission for them, it's likely that there will be no import tax and it's a discount on shipping. So the hard part, the devices, that's handled. Those devices, they already exist. As far as I know, I don't know if they've already, been branded or like that's all happened already. But in terms of like knowing what it is that is being sent out, that is done. That's a done deal, and that's been taken care of. So the issue now is having places for the devices to be donated to and shipped from. That's what we're looking at. So here is some really pertinent information. These devices are being shipped from China. It's a 40-foot general purpose container, from what I understand. And again, forgive me if I say anything wrong or if I'm not explaining this correctly. I'm no expert for sure. I'm just being a messenger and trying to get all this information out there as far and wide as we can spread it. So 17,783 kilograms per container. There are no pallets involved. Each device is enclosed in a bubble mailer. Okay. And the mailer size is 19 by 15 centimeters by 8.86 millimeters. I'm guessing that's the depth, at a weight of 65 grams. So each 40-foot container will have about 212,800 pieces. Again, there are no pallets in them. And these devices all include a CR 2025 battery. Additional device info. These devices are quite thin. They're much more like the size of a letter or a flat. They do meet the requirements of flexibility for flats. There's nothing hazardous, and the batteries are behind a screw panel. So unless the kid's got a screwdriver, kids should be all right. No eating batteries for these children. Ideally, they could go out as letters, but it's up to the individual postal inspector, right? So this is kind of the information we're trying to figure out, right? Can they go as letters? What's the cheapest way to send them? And then today, like we'll see in just a moment, I'll go to his X account. What's the cheapest way to get them distributed, right? This part is definitely, if you understand this a little bit better, please post something in the chat and let people know. There's a requirement about being able to fit around an 11-inch drum with 45-pound belt tension if you want automated price, which is half the price of non-automated. So in my mind, what that means to me is that it's going through some kind of like a belt, like a system, right? Where it's going to have to go through something like that. And if it's able to pass that test where it goes through this 11-inch drum with the 45-pound belt tension, then we're able to send them for a much cheaper price. Okay, so these 3 links are very important, need to know information for people in the US that are working on this. I am going to, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and read this. We're just going to do it right now. Let me open this up and see if I can get this shared instead. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I was working on a bunch of other stuff, so I got all this information going here. Let's see. Where is the share this other screen button? Okay, I'm going to remove this, and then we're going to share my other screen here. And what's up again, everyone in the green room? I see you. I'll bring you all up later. I'm gonna read all this stuff, and then we'll get chatting about some other things. So, okay, so let me see. Bring this up. Okay, so these 3 links were brought to our attention today and are very important for knowing what to do, or what there are different requirements for determining eligibility for these mail pieces. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and read this because, hey, that's what I do. Summary of process for determining eligibility of mail piece. The following 6-step process can help you decide whether your mail piece is eligible for nonprofit prices under current content-based rules. I'm going to skip things in parentheses. This flow chart in Exhibit 6-2 summarizes the following steps. Step 1, examine the mail piece for products. Step 2, determine whether the product to be mailed meets one of 3 statutory provisions for mailing at the nonprofit prices. That is, the product is a low-cost item, a donated item, or a periodical publication. Step 3, examine the mail piece for advertisements. Step 4, determine whether the mail piece contains any prohibited or restricted advertisements. Step 5, determine whether the mail piece meets the content requirements for periodical publication, also referred to as the space advertisement exception. Step 6, determine the substantial relatedness of each advertised product of service. This little image is killing me because I've tried to look at it and it's terrible. I called a little too late in the day, but I'm going to try and call and see if I can get a better version of this flowchart because it's terrible. All right, so step 1, is mail piece a product or does it contain a product? If yes, product, low cost, donated, or periodical. If yes and then no. I'm actually not going to go through this whole flowchart because that'd get a little wonky, but you guys can see it here. Kind of. It's a little hard to make out some of the words, but I think you guys can kind of get the gist of it. So if you are someone that is on the team here and you are down to like start getting this stuff done and taken care of in terms of mailing, or if you want to help us gain clarity on all of this, right? Like go through these things, check out what's going on here, and this is how we're going to, this is the information that we need to help us all move forward for this. So let me bring up the next one here. I'm pretty sure that was this. Yes, that was this. Next one is this here. Okay. Where am I? Okay, I'll share screen again. Okay, customer support ruling. Oops. Okay. Share screen, add to stage. Okay, here we go. All right. Cooperative mailings. The customer support ruling, or CSR, discusses cooperative mailings and lists factors to consider in the determination of an eligible or ineligible cooperative mailing. Domestic Mail Manual, or DMM, states that an organization authorized to mail at the nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices may mail only its own matter at those rates. An organization may not delegate or lend the use of its authorization to mail at the nonprofit rates to any other person or organization. That's actually really, really good to know. You know what I mean? So it's like if you have a nonprofit already and you're like, oh, pick me, let's do this. Well, this may apply, right? Like this might be one of the reasons why we can't use your 501c3. So this is why I'm sharing this information. All right. The term cooperative mailing refers to a mailing made at the nonprofit prices in which one or more parties cooperate with the authorized nonprofit organization. The DMM, the Direct Mail Manual, sets forth the applicable rules concerning cooperative mailings. DMM 703.1.6.3 states that the cooperative mailing may be made at the nonprofit prices only when each of the cooperating organizations is individually authorized to mail at the nonprofit prices at the post office where the mailing is deposited. Cooperative mailings made on behalf of or produced for any organization that is not authorized to mail at the nonprofit prices is ineligible cooperative mailings must be paid at the applicable regular prices, right? So again, this is kind of why we're looking for the 501c3, because it can really cut the costs down if we find something that fits and works. Under DMM rules, a mailing must be owned by the authorized nonprofit entity in order to be mailed at the nonprofit prices. However, even if it is claimed that the mail matter itself is owned by the authorized entity, a mailing may not be sent at the nonprofit prices if made in conjunction with, in support of, a venture of an unauthorized entity, or if a joint venture between authorized and or a joint venture between authorized and unauthorized entities. A mailing may be considered proper. A mailing may be considered proper, not an ineligible cooperative mailing, if the authorized organization uses a for-profit entity or other unauthorized entity as an agent. An example is the employment of a mailing house to pre-sort and present nonprofit mailings to the post office on the authorized organization's behalf. However, if questioned, the parties must be able to show that the relationship is a legitimate principal/agent relationship in order to use the nonprofit prices. Typically, when a nonprofit or for-profit organization enter into a joint business venture, both parties put something in, a list of names, and use of nonprofit USPS marketing mail authorization by the authorized party and payment of printing and mailing costs by the unauthorized party. And both parties take something out, a share of the proceeds or profits, as an example. Examination of a mail piece usually is not sufficient to decide if a mailing is an ineligible cooperative mailing. Instead, it is necessary to determine the relationship between all of the participating parties. This requires a review of all contacts executed by the parties, as well as other documents that may demonstrate the relationship between the parties. For example, a memorandum, letters of understanding, or other written correspondence. Provisions in these documents showing that the parties are not engaged in a joint venture, or that the unauthorized party is the agent of the authorized nonprofit entity are relevant but are not determinative evidence of the relationship between the parties. Factors we may consider in determining whether a mailing is an ineligible cooperative mailing include the following: the identity of the party or parties that devised, designed, prepared, and paid for the mail piece. The identity of the party that directly or indirectly paid the postage for the mailing. How the unauthorized parties are compensated. How the profits and revenues from the enterprise supported by the mailing are divided. What risks are entailed in the enterprise supported by the mailing, and whether the parties share the risks. How managerial decisions are made concerning the content of the mailings or the enterprise it supports, and who makes those decisions. The contribution each party makes towards the enterprise supported by the mailing, the intent and interests of the parties, and any other evidence that may be relevant to the standards discussed above. While not limited to the above, evidence such as described in this CSR is generally useful in determining whether a relationship between parties is one of a legitimate principal/agent or one that exists to benefit a party or parties not entitled to use nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices. So y'all, like, again, this is from my point of view. This is Richard doing everything with dotting the I's and crossing the T's, right? Much like we've seen in the last few years with the way that he's carried himself, and all the legal proceedings, right? Like he's always a few steps ahead, and always thinking about what could go wrong, I'm sure, right? Or how things could not work out. So again, super pertinent information for anyone that has a 501c3 or is thinking of forming one for this to happen. And guys, that's one thing I wanted to kind of throw out there too. And this is kind of just my opinion or my thoughts on from what I've seen, is that this may become like an ongoing marketing thing. I mean, I can't see it being, it might just, who knows? It could just be a one-time thing. However, if you have the capability to create a 501c3 and have it be a blockchain education 501c3, I can't see that being a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, should more endeavors like this need to happen in the future, the more of us that have 501c3s of that nature, the better. Just my thought on that. There's one more article that I'm going to read. I think this one's a little bit shorter, thankfully. So yeah, this one's maybe a little shorter. All right, let's get to it. Share this tab instead. I'm going to peek back over here and just take a look real quick. I see nuclear herbs. What's up, man? I see all you guys. I was like, oh, herbs, come. Do you know anything about mail? This is not your wheelhouse. Who's our mail? Who's our resident Hexican mailman, right? Like, where's that guy at? All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you again for joining. Let's read this. This is the last one I'm going to read. I think this is the last one that is posted in that chat, in the Telegram. I'll double check after I read this, but we're just going to go through all this again. This is information that is absolutely needed and necessary for you to know if you want to be a part of this endeavor and you are in the US specifically. So shout out to everyone all around the world. If you can find this information for your part of the world, please do. If you can find, what the parameters are, right, for a charity or a nonprofit or whatever it's called in your part of the world, right, that's the information that we're going to need. So if you can find that, please share it in the Telegram group, and that's going to help us all moving forward, right, as this endeavor continues and as we go from one location to the next, getting the word out and getting these devices to people. All right, so what is nonprofit mail? Nonprofit mail is printed material printed material eligible to be mailed at USPS marketing mail at significantly reduced nonprofit postage rates. Nonprofit mail is printed material. I just said that. Nonprofit mail cannot contain matter that is required to be mailed as first-class mail. For example, handwritten or typewritten matter, or bills and statements of account, which those are required to be first-class mail. What items can be mailed using nonprofit USPS marketing mail? Self-mailers, letters, newsletters, and booklets that weigh less than 16 ounces are otherwise eligible to be mailed as USPS marketing mail. Create mail online prints, inserts, applies, postage, pre-sorts, and enters your mail at one or more central process. I think this is just, they're talking about what they do. Only material of the authorized organization, this is kind of going back to what we just covered, only material of the authorized organization can be mailed at nonprofit prices. Mailings cannot be done for an unauthorized party or on behalf of cooperative enterprise. The cooperative mail rule prevents authorized organizations from sharing their authorizations with others who are not authorized. There are also restrictions on advertising for products and services. Who is eligible to use nonprofit USPS marketing mail? An organization is eligible to use nonprofit USPS marketing mail if it is not organized for profit and none of its net income accrues to the benefit of any private stockholder or individual. So again, if you already have a 501c3, this is information that we need to be sure is not happening with your nonprofit in order for us to utilize that. Only organizations that meet specific standards and have received special authorization from the United States Postal Service may mail eligible matter at any nonprofit USPS marketing mail price. Simply being approved for nonprofit status by the IRS does not qualify an organization for the nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices. There are 10 categories of organization that may be approved for nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices. Those 10 categories, ladies and gentlemen, are agricultural, educational, that's where we're going, fraternal, labor, philanthropic, religious, scientific, veterans, qualified political committees, state or local voter registration officials. Nonprofit USPS marketing mail must be presented for mailing at a post office facility where the organization producing the mailing has an approved nonprofit authorization. A separate authorization is required at each post office location where nonprofit USPS marketing mail price mailings are deposited. So again, that's kind of, that's one of those little details that, let's say we've got the 501c3. Let's say we've got the devices and we're ready to ship them. Well, we know that we need an authorization. There's a separate authorization required per post office. Note, when an organization submits proof that it is granted federal income tax exemption under 26 USC 501c3 as a religious, educational, scientific, or philanthropic charitable organization under 501c5, as an agriculture or label of organization, as the organizations, it is considered as qualifying for the nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices unless other evidence discloses some disqualification. So here we go. So how do I apply to use nonprofit USPS marketing mail? Application process. All right. So we might need to come back to this. Someone might need to clip this for later on, right? Let's say, again, we've got the 501c3, that 501c3, they're ready to do it. This is what they need to go through. So I'm going to go ahead and read this because it's it's a step we're going to have to take, guys. How do I apply to use nonprofit USPS marketing mail? Application process. Specific authorization is required to mail at nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices and may be used at any post office with Postal One. Woo. Access. Mailers are required to confirm authorization at non-Postal One post office locations before mailings will be accepted at nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices. Note that mailers must still obtain mailing permits and pay the required fees for mailing at pre-sorted prices. In order to apply for authorization to mail at a nonprofit USPS marketing mail price, the following steps must be completed. Step 1, there's a form. Complete PS Form 3624 application to mail at nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices available on USPS.com. There is the link for you right there. So again, someday someone here, hopefully soon, is going to have to come back and fill out that form. You need to provide evidence that the organization is nonprofit. Acceptable evidence includes an Internal Revenue Service IRS letter of exemption from payment of federal income tax. An IRS exemption letter, if an IRS exemption letter is not available, a complete financial statement from an independent auditor, such as a certified public accountant, substantiating that the organization is nonprofit. A statement from a member of the organization is not sufficient. Do not submit state tax exemption information. Step 3, you will need to provide documents describing the organization's primary purpose, such as organizing instruments that state the purpose for which the group is organized, such as the Constitution, Articles of Incorporation, Articles of Association, or Trust Indenture. The organizing instrument, including all amendments to the original, should bear the seal, certification, or signature of the Secretary of State or other appropriate state official. If one or more of these documents are not sealed, certified, or signed by the state officials, an officer, or other person authorized to sign for the applicant, the applicant should submit a written declaration certifying that the documents are complete and accurate copies of the originals. So, again, just all these little things we need to be aware of and make sure that this is what happens as, whichever 501c3 moves forward in this. Materials showing how the organization actually operated during the previous 6 to 12 months and how it will operate in the future. That, guys, that could be something right there. Because what if the organization has not operated for 6 to 12 months? That's interesting. So materials showing how the organization actually operated during the previous 6 to 12 months and how it will operate in the future. Bulletins, financial statements, membership forms, publications produced by the organization, minutes of meetings, or a list of its activities may be used. The application, number 4, the application must be signed by someone in authority in the organization, such as the president or treasurer. It must not be signed by a printer or mailing agent. Step 5, submit the complete PS Form 3624, which was above, to the post office where nonprofit USPS marketing mailings will be deposited. If the application is approved, The authorization will apply nationwide. So that's interesting because it sounded earlier like it meant that you would have to have an authorization per place. But this says the authorization will apply nationwide. So if someone wants to dig into that and figure out which it is it actually nationwide, or do you have to apply at every place that you go? Because that I'm a little confused on that. Using an agent. As an organization authorized to mail at nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices, you can use a commercial firm to prepare and present your mailing for you at those prices. I don't think that's the route we're going to go, but I'm going to finish reading this anyways. The issue is whether the arrangement is a legitimate principal-agent relationship. If you are paying a fee to the mailing house to prepare your mailing and the mailing house has no other interest in the mailing, it should be eligible for nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices. However, if the mailing house shares in the advertising revenues, places its own advertisement in the mail piece at no cost or at a reduced price, or will not receive any fees for its services, the mail piece may not be eligible for nonprofit marketing prices. Under this arrangement, the mailing house has now a vested interest in the mailing and is no longer functioning in an agent capacity. Maintaining nonprofit status. The Postal Service will allow nonprofits to use professional fundraising organizations without jeopardizing their eligibility to maintain nonprofit USPS marketing mail. This decision will allow nonprofits to increase the potential pool of charitable donors when the economy is weak and public resources are being diverted. Thank you so much for listening to all of that. That's a lot. Let me take a look at one last thing here. I did not... Okay, there is one more page. Okay, content-based restrictions. May our authorized organization... Actually, hold on. Before I do that, I'm just going to double check. Double check over here. Everyone's cool. What's up, everybody? Thank you again for being here. All right, let me go back to here. Okay, so this is the last one. I lied. But in particular on this page, let me go back to the Telegram real quick. In particular, this question and answer is what was called attention to on this page here. In fact, just to save time, you guys can see this. The links are all in the Telegram chat. I'm just going to read the question and answer that was called out here. Let me find it real quick. Do advertisements or projects donated? Okay, this is it. Okay, so this in particular was the question and answer that we needed to pay attention to. Here, highlight that. Do advertisements for products donated to my authorized organization qualify for mailing at the nonprofit USPS marketing mail prices? Answer: yes. The rules state that products and services received by an organization as donations or gifts are considered substantially related to one or more of the organization's purposes. So that is that's some good to know, need to know information. All right, what we're going to do now is I'm going to not share for a second. That's not what I want to do either. Appreciate you guys hanging out and paying attention to all this stuff. And let's see if I can. There we go. Give me one moment, guys. I just gotta keep it clean here. keep things all fine and dandy. All right, almost there. We're gonna go over. Oh, you know what? I lied. I am a liar. Let me go back to the Telegram because there still is more information in the Telegram pinned post that we need to talk about. Oh, I've never been that nervous. I mean, I'm not nervous. It's just it's a lot. There's a lot going on, you guys. So instead we're gonna share. What is happening here? I should have background music. I feel like background music needs to happen right now. Present. share screen. Here we go. And going back to the Telegram. Okay. So hopefully y'all can see that again. Nope, you can't because I got to share it. There you go. Okay, here's that. And let's just finish going through this information. And again, this is the pinned message in the t.me/filter for the number 4 mail. So we just read all of these. Okay. So this is the information that we need to gather. Number 1, who has a suitable charity that fits the bill? Number 2, who seriously has a logistical arrangement that can handle distribution to 27 countries? This is the information that we need if you are willing and able to help, or you fit one of those 2 categories. Info needed from prospective charities: name, registered number, state admission, year and country founded, number of employees, and the Telegram handle of whoever it is that's submitting this information. Information needed from prospective logistics handlers: name, year that was founded, number of employees, registered business number, country founded in, similar sized projects completed, right? We're talking logistics here, and the Telegram handle of the person who submitted this information. So, and then that's just a little blurb about making sure that you guys stay on topic in that chat. If you're in there and you are shilling things or just talking trash, we're going to ban you. Like, there's no room for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Like, we really are trying to get on the ball and get all this done as quickly as possible so that the world can see what's going on with us. I'm overjoyed and super excited about this. Let me see. There's might be a little more information. So the gist of it is charities get created, right? These charities get created or they exist already. They get donations of the devices and money, and then they fulfill their mission of the charities. What else? Okay, I'm going to mention that in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to go over to Richard's X real quick. I know many of you already follow him. You already know this information, but for those that don't or are not on X, that's the whole reason I'm doing a lot of this. So let's get this pulled up here. Let us pull this here. Goodbye. Oh, my shadow. All right. Present. Share screen. Richard Hart. Ba-ba-da-ba. Everyone's like, when Richard on stream? There he is. There you go, guys. Look at him. Look at that man. All right. Thank you for sharing, Richard. I should probably like that. So we're going to go back to useful. Okay, so these are, and these I have screenshotted this information, and it's also in the pinned post. I'm also going to screenshot the next couple posts that are here and add those to the pinned post in Telegram. So from the Richard Hart X account, you want to be useful. Someone in the community is looking for a USA free zone to receive and hold a couple of 40 GP containers for a month. Apparently, their contents will be imported as donations to a 501c3. And then this is a little bit ago. There's a 501c3 that has been or is being created, but they're waiting on their certification. So again, that's why we're trying to find out if anybody has a 501c3 that already exists that happens to be along those lines of blockchain tech information dissemination education. Or they could just accept them without the free zone. 17,320 kilograms per container. What logistics company in a US free zone wants the business? Now, this is huge. Like, this is huge. Get in contact with your contacts. Find out who's got this logistics company. Like, how can we get this handled? Be useful and hit the phones. The containers apparently will contain free electronic gifts with a CR 2025 battery. So we already know that. Want to be useful part 2. A community member needs to know. Time to hit the phones again. What large fulfillment or bulk mailing company can turn 40-foot containers full of free electronic gifts into mail globally? I would assume it wise to go country by country, but in the EU, I think a couple countries tend to do fulfillment across the whole area? Question mark. Figure $1 million to start with, which is about 5 containers. The time frame is about 2 months, and I'm not going to read that because we already and then it's the information about the bubble mailer and what's in it, which I already talked about. If you want that information, again, it's right here. It's pinned in Telegram, and it's rewind, and you'll find it there as well. What else? So here we go. So this was today, earlier today. So geniuses, and I don't think he's being facetious. I think he actually thinks that a lot of us are geniuses, because we are. What methods can you devise to distribute a free electronic gift, one per household with disposable income, that is cheaper than bulk mail? Now's your time to shine, keyboard warriors. Brainstorm. And that's part of why I'm doing this, right? So everything that I previously said, right, that was before he made this post, or the account made this post. So keep all that in mind. If we can go that route, cool. But if someone's got some brilliant flipping idea and we can do it in a different way without going through the postal service some way, somehow. I mean, I'm sure that there has to be, I think that this is part 2, right? Like the logistics and the getting it to a location from China is the part 1 logistics piece. And then from what I understand, or what I'm gleaning, is that this is the part 2, right? This is like, once it's been shipped from China to said location, how do we get it from, let's just say like Long Beach, right? California, it's a huge port, right? A lot of things go in and out of Long Beach. Let's just say, how do we get it from Long Beach to New York, to Texas, to Chicago? Chicago's not a state. Oh, it's all right. All right. Okay. Geniuses. A free physical electronic gift that in a bubble envelope weighs these things in units and such. In freedom units, that's okay. Let's just hear. This is good. In freedom units, that's 2.29 ounces. We didn't get this part yet because I'm not converting things. 2.29 ounces, 7.5 inches long, and 5.9 inches wide, and 0.35 of an inch thick. And yes, the battery is screwed in for safety. He says, if your answer is about physical distribution, you're not. Oh, if your answer isn't about physical distribution, you're not a genius. So prove yourself genius, friends. Pro tip, did you notice the part where it said cheaper than bulk mail? Amazon, for instance, wouldn't work because they cost to get people to know they could claim, because I think it's supposed to say, because the cost to get people to know they could claim would likely equal the cost of just mailing it in the first place. And then he says, some random ideas, free item on Amazon that people can add to their order if they are already ordering stuff, how to enforce only one per household, physically giving away at rich people entrances to toll roads or other natural delays of like lights. I love this, man. I can just see like an army of Hexicans, like a sea of us, just like standing on street corners and at toll road booths, handing these things out. I love it. Or just going door to door like trick or treating. Might bang too. Whew, man, I'll tell you, for one day, I did a door to door job. This is different because it's just a free thing. You're like, hey, here's a free thing, have it. I did a door to door for one night only, did a door to door sales job, and never again, man. Bless your heart if you ever have done or do door to door sales. It's a whole lot of terrible, man. Doors shut in my face, getting yelled at, get off my lawn. Terrible. All right, excellent. Okay, you guys, that's it. I did it. I read all the things. So, really the last thing I want to say is just like, we don't know, it's not been specified what this thing is yet, right? But just imagine if it's like, something that people are like, oh man, they're like, this is so cool. Like, I'm so glad that I have this thing, and as they're holding this thing, right, it's got some information, it's got something on it that brings them to us, and gives them information. And how amazing is it going to be that we become the group, right, the entity that shares with the world how great blockchain is and how awesome it is to be able to publish, freedom of speech, and to, have these rights. You guys, this really is groundbreaking, and I really do honestly believe that this could be something that really changes the world. So again, and that's why I'm here. I've felt that feel the entire time. Becoming a Hexican, learning about this community and becoming a part of it has changed my life substantially. And for me, again, it's always been about the community and about the mission, really. Like, gains, cool. I love them. I'm excited to see a bull run for the first time in my life. Like, that's going to be great, right? But I've said this and I'll say it again, man. My life has done a 10,000x because of the people that I'm surrounded with, the work that I get to do. You guys, look at what we're doing right now. This is absolutely earth-shattering in my opinion. And I really honestly believe that something like this, some huge mailing endeavor where millions upon millions of people are going to receive something for free in the mail that's a pretty cool little device deal. Like, what? Where else? Who else? What else has ever done anything like that? Right? No one. So let's continue to build together, think outside the box, and figure out how we're going to get this done, y'all. That's why we're here. I'm going to bring up all the homies now. Oh, no longer alone. So what's going on? Let's see. I see a couple of you here without your cameras on. If you want to come on, I guess maybe just let me know in the chat, or if you've got your cam on, you're good. Give me a thumbs up. Is everybody in the green room? Thumbs up. Okay, good. Margarita, if you're here, put a comment in the, let me look at the private chat real quick, everybody. Let's see. Hold on. I just want to make sure everything's cool. Okay, cool. So yeah, just there's one more person in the green room that I don't see. So if you do want to come up, you're good. You're about to have a margarita. Did you just say that? Awesome. Enjoy your margarita. I'm gonna bring up the homies. What is up, Fast Abdul? What is up, Liddyverse and Triplet Dad, my friends? Thank you guys so much for hanging out for that long of a time, and thank you again, everybody in the chat, for taking the time to listen to all that. Because
you did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Yeah, for sure.
Yay! I like to read.
What a lot of information to convey, though, right? Holy
It is.
mackerel.
It is. It's a lot, and it's like we can't just go about this. Like, Richard doesn't do anything just willy-nilly and like not absolutely covering his ass and our asses. You know what I mean? Like, we're all in this together. And of course, anyone who's going to be the nonprofit or the logistics team, like all that stuff I read on the USPS site about having to be a part of the mission and showing your activity as a nonprofit. Like, I didn't know any of that until I read it just now. So, all these things are really important to keep in mind as we move forward.
It's too bad we didn't have some stateside now, because Liddyverse is at an NFT conference.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It could have been handing them out from the
I'm down to beat a mule.
Dude,
For real, but I'm always down to do these kinds of events. So like, if Richard really wants to send it to people that want to do door to door, I've never done it, and I'm always that kind of special to try to take on like the hard work. So I don't care. Being in New York, I think handing them out to people might actually be really cool. So if he's really thinking about that, like, I'm down to do the boots on the ground type of stuff. I'm also waiting on my connect from Amazon. I know he said like Amazon won't work, but I was thinking on that same thing, right? Like, if we could batch this on to an already existing order or to somebody's subscription or something like that, like anywhere where you could check out or use your credit card already, whether it's like Roku, Netflix, anything like that, I'm going to try to get on. And I have a bunch of connects at Amazon and Sony, so I'm trying to get on that. And usually, like, the longer it takes for them to get back to me, the more it means that like they're working for us, and we're probably going to get a great answer come like tomorrow or Monday. So I'm just waiting. But if it does have to be boots on the ground, hey, why not? That sounds fun to me too.
Yeah. Boots on the ground might have to be the answer. There's one issue with mailing an electronic thing, and that's the batteries, right? And it disqualifies you from most of the cheap mailing options, including the charity related ones. So like your 30 cents a piece is out because of the lithium batteries specifically.
Are you talking about in Canada?
No, Canada, USA, UK, Australia were the four places I studied. So, and they all like in lithium batteries are the thing, right? And they all have the same rule essentially. And it applies to like any of the mass marketing stuff, right? You can still mail them, like USPS accepts things with lithium ion batteries, and as does UK Post, Canada Post, et cetera, but it's not with the cheapest mass mail option. It's very specifically not allowed with any of those. And the same with the charity stuff falls into that as well. So then you're left with the more expensive mail options, with the USPS specifically, you can still get a discount. So you'd be paying somewhere between $2 and $4 a piece instead of $8 a piece that a normal person might pay to ship something like that. But it's still, pretty up there. So for pricing, if you're going to follow the postal standards for pricing, that's kind of where it's at. Is like $2 if you're lucky. If you're looking for the cheapest way, it would be by using local courier services or by literally delivering them door to door. But like local courier services and mail fulfillment centers could set up to do deliveries of something like this for you, and they're that bypasses the rule, but it will still cost probably between $1 and $2 a piece by the time the dust settles.
But if you're going to hand them out physically, instead of going door to door, why don't you go where the people are, right? So I would go to sporting events, stuff like that. Just by the fact of those people going to a 49ers game, a Rams game, a Dodgers game, they have disposable income. And you're going to have 20 to 50,000 people pass by you without having to walk a step.
You can still deliver them like via courier services, like basically like DoorDash, Uber, etc. Like those, like you can get bulk deals with those guys, and that's where your end like $1 to $2 a piece comes from. Is from local courier services, city to city, and then you can target by zip code, right? So you can be like 90210, rich people live there. That's where we're going to send them. So you can still have probably the same effect as sending them directly through the postal service. It just has to be a different way because of those batteries.
I think that in part it has more to do with the flexibility of the item, right? Because if it passes this flex test, because that's one of the things that I've seen spoken about a bit, it is eligible still for that lower rate, from what I understand.
But the prohibitive, like, what can you ship? Can I ship bullets in there? Can I ship? Can I ship anything? Like, there's a list of things you can't send, and the lithium-ion batteries or items containing lithium-ion batteries would be on that list.
Interesting, Fast Abdul.
I mean, I work in the residential industry. My management company actually owns big time Class A buildings. I could just go straight up into these properties and just set up right in front, start handing them out as people walk in or go upstairs. I think these are the things we got to look into, like high traffic areas, like Madison Square Garden, all these venues, right? And
That's it.
residential areas, right? That have like major volume. And that to me, I don't mind really. Like if it has to be that, then we could do that. I remember another cool thing that was done in the movies, right? When The Sound of Freedom came out, right? People were buying tickets and then also doing like kind of like you buy the next person's ticket, right? So like you pay it forward, and the people who have it, like if you could check out, you buy the next person's shipping, right? Like for us at 404 Monsters, we didn't care. We gave away free stuff, and like we encourage people to pay for their own shipping. But if you couldn't, we cover the shipping too. And it's like for the people who can handle that burden. I mean, what's $2 for the next person, right? If you got it, you could just put that on to the next person. And that's just an idea. We don't have to do that. But, some people have it more than others. And this is a chance for other people to show how charitable they are, right? Like all the money people made off of crypto, you could dump that back in and pay the $2 for the next person, right? It's kind of like paying for the next person's food in the line, right? When you're at McDonald's, like it's $10. It's not going to kill you, bro. This will probably do better for somebody else, right? Like that $10 in your pocket's doing nothing. But if you just paid for the next 5 people to get this item shipped out to them, you're like right away doing something for the people, for the community, and for just like the betterment of humanity, right? So there's so many ways we could take this, really.
NFT
I think it's
conferences,
important who gets
sporting
them.
events, Comdex, Internet of Things events, Those are all over in every NFL city in the entire United States. That's one thing Fast Abdul and I were kicking around this morning is the item that is going to be sent in English.
Maybe
Is it
they're all
all?
in different, maybe they all have their own language in the regions. That's why it's like all set up regional. We don't really know, but I mean,
When
Richard's a
they when
smart
they
man,
when they
right?
when they said they needed charities set up in the UK and Australia, so far I have not seen one that said Japan or Spain. Is everything that's going to be sent in English? Is it seems like it is.
Okay.
Are you having
I
fun
mean, I
there? Are you
guess we
still
might
at the
need more information.
are you still at the event, Wilvers?
It ended Thursday, so weirdly it was only a 2-day thing, but we still have a whole bunch of like side events for everything, and I have the list for all of that. So if we did have this stuff already landed, I could have just every day I could have just like went out and got it done, you know. One thing I can do though is I could reach out directly to the NFT NYC team and see what happens, see if they could assist us with this at all, right? Like they have a big pool and they're in Web3 like specifically. So if this is, to me, this is speculation. I don't know, right? But in my opinion, this is like Richard Hart coming out with his Hart wallet, right? This is his hard wallet. He said he's going to make the best wallet in the world, right? This could be that. I'm speculating. I don't know. But like everything is so cool, and I'm sure that the people at NFT NYC would want to assist in any way. So I'll reach out to them. I'll send a message directly to the actual team that like runs in the background, and let's see if they can assist. I mean, I'm sure they would want to tag on to something that's considered like the world's biggest marketing event, right? Who wouldn't want to be tied to that? I mean, if you find any trends and you know anything about what's trending, you would probably want to latch on to something like this, you know? So I would get on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have another guest that has arrived. Drum roll, please.
KG.
Hey,
KG.
KG, what's
Hello,
up, man?
everybody. Hello, everybody.
KG, I would trust you with $5, bro. Just to let you know, playing on the Twitter stuff that's going on right now, I would definitely trust my boy KG with $5.
I appreciate that. Likewise, sir. I'd appreciate you with at least, or I would trust you with at least $5.
Yeah, same here, bro. I'm gonna play on Super Hex is post here and RH Max's stream yesterday, so it's quite possible since it's digital, it could say "Como está cell pressure?" Yeah, it's quite possible that could be the deliverable.
That
That's
I don't know if that would go over
all I
well.
was gonna say. Y'all.
No, SJ, great work on everything you're doing. That was a lot of information you just delivered. Seen you out there really grinding on this initiative and this endeavor. So good job. We all appreciate your hard work and efforts there.
Thank you. That really does mean a lot. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
Absolutely.
how can I not? You know what I mean? Like, this is absolutely what I've spent the last 4 years of my life, hoping for and thinking about. And to actually, like, this is kind of what I started talking about at the beginning, was like to actually be here now and know that I'm like in the group and like we're all talking and like he's communicating with people within our community again, like I wasn't here when all that was going on in the past. So it's just like I'm like over the moon just being a part of this and knowing that it is going to make a real impact. I mean, I honestly believe that.
Same. I mean, I missed out on all of that as well. So to see like the engagement and to see the people that say that they want to work and they want to do things, right? Well, this is your chance, guys. You want to call to action. This is it, right? Like, I mean, Richard's directly speaking to you guys. Like, sure, he's not mentioning you all by name, but he's showing you and relying on us and telling you that he needs your help, right? Like most founders don't ever go publicly and ask for people to do stuff, right? So the fact that he's doing that, You guys, this is your opportunity. You want to be known for something great in the community. You want to be known as the person who put in that work when it was necessary. This is your time, right? And it's no work that's too little or too big. Don't think that you have no use here, right? Like we all have a utility, no matter how big, how small. Just go out and try to do something, right? And like, look at SJ doing this wonderful stream, explaining to people how important, all the details. And right away, look, Richard, right away, boom, instant gratification. Reshares the tweet. Yo, SJ's killing it, right? So take advantage and take like example from what people are doing right now, right? Like if you said you want to help, this is the time to help. And like SJ, thank you so much for like inspiring people and just always taking your time to kind of like explain what's going on in case people missed it. Like, because for founders, we sometimes don't have the time to always go and do our own research. So the fact that there's people that like aggregate everything and then give us the cliff notes, it's perfect. Like that's what we need sometimes. So thank you, Richard. Thanks everybody here, man, and anybody who's really trying to put their heads together. It's like a beautiful thing.
All right, and we got 2 more guests in the green room. Guests, can you guys give me a thumbs up if you're ready to come on up? Oh, you guys, I'm so excited. This is one of the biggest effins I've been a part of so far. So bring it on. We got DJ Montage and Mayo. What up, guys? Welcome.
Hey, yo. How are you?
What's going on, guys?
Good to have you. This is, this is where it happens, right? Like, this is what I think, one of the things I loved hearing back in the day was the fact that the greatest accomplishment that Richard has achieved is us. It's the community. And he said that over and over again. And this is a testament to that, right? Us being here, working this stuff out together, right? Like, I can do my part, right? I can read. I can read, and I'm good at disseminating information. You know what I mean? And now it's up to you guys to kind of like take this and run with it, and let's figure out a way to get this happening.
Agreed.
Oh my goodness!
So Steaknomics has an interesting thing here. It says that the CR 2025s contain 0.078 grams of lithium, which is below the 0.3 grams set by USPS when it comes to button cell classifications. So it might fly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is from what I've seen from posts like back in the Simplex and stuff like that, is that it is actually let's see. So I found it says packaging instruction 9D allows lithium metal button cells under a gram lithium each installed in the device they power to travel by any domestic service, including marketing mail. It also caps each mail piece at 8 cells or 2 batteries, and there's only one in the device they're sending. So I think we're good.
That's awesome if that's the case, because that reduces the price by 5x.
Yeah, exactly. And I think all of that was probably taken into consideration as this was being built and as they were figuring out, whoever they are, what the device was. And I'm so excited to like find out someday, see and like share whatever this thing is. I know a lot of people have speculated that it's a wallet or it's going to have like some funds associated to it. I don't think that's the case. Like I don't just, my gut feeling is like I don't feel like it would be something where you would have to claim any kind of funds or anything like that. I think that's beside the point. I think it's more getting the branding out. Whatever this device is, it's for us to get our logo and our image out there, like, hey, this thing exists, right? Like, what is this thing? And that's what we're hoping is people come find out what's this thing? What is this Hex thing, right? What is this logo? What is this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful logo all about, huh?
Awesome.
All 3 of them.
I have seen every conspiracy under the sun with these devices already. It's gotten crazy.
Yeah.
Give us a couple of craziest ones.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I've seen it down to a little flashlight, little keychain flashlight, as far as digital postcards with seed phrases preloaded with X amount of digital asset. I mean,
That'd be cool.
I've seen it all, and I mean, one thing I was actually talking with my wife about prior to the stream was, if neighborhoods do get targeted for this, and let's say whole streets, whole neighborhoods end up with whatever these things are, I could see some interesting conversations happening. Like, did you guys get this thing in the mail? Like, what is crypto and pulse chain? And then now you get neighbors talking, and some say good things, some say bad things, but they're talking about it, which means that some of them are inevitably going to look into it. And then as long as, which this kind of makes sense, in my opinion, with all the updates that came out on pulsechain.com recently about here's how you get onto Pulse Chain. Here's why onboarding is so important. Here's the fiat on ramps and the wallets and the swaps and everything. Here's how to use it all in 1, 2, 3 steps. Probably because this was foreseen to come down the pipeline. So now you have people, what is Pulse Chain? Goes and looks into Pulse Chain, sees everything on the website. So I could see some really good things happening. And I've put forward some ideas about how I personally can get this into the hands of real people outside of mailing. So I'm not going to pick those apart here on the stream. They're pretty nuanced, but these things could have a lot of impact.
To dovetail into what you said, Fast was talking about possibly that call center dovetails into what you just said.
Good point.
Look, we got the charity that is now the shipping company or connected, and then we have the device, and then there's this call center that he was talking about. Like, it could all tie together.
God, that's the call center thing is just like what a crazy cool idea to think.
That is right, because now it's like, okay, not only do you go look at the website, okay, it's got charts, it's got language. I don't even know what crypto is. What's a fiat on ramp? What's a crypto wallet, right? Well, hey, let me pick up the phone and call someone. Hey, I got this thing in the mail. Can you tell me about? That's
that works.
Hey, real quick, we got one more person in the green room. Person in the green room, are you ready? You want to give me a thumbs up? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, in the darkness.
He is alive.
Hey, Axis, what's up, brother?
Yo, who's gonna show up in the bottom of the 9th?
Hey,
you, buddy.
Close it out, brother. Close it out.
We're all here, man. This is the last brigade, the last stand. Somebody.
I mean, listen, I could physically take these to sorry to cut you off, right? But we could do the cigar lounge thing. I don't mind going to cigar lounges and dropping these off personally to wealthy retired people, right? Posting up outside of my neighborhood golf courses, right? Anywhere where there's people with money and good investment sense, this is where these need to go. So I'm gonna go the boots on the ground way, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna look for all the places with high traffic, with high possible return rates, right? If we dump these on normal people, they might not use it. So for me, I'm going to look for just the retired people who are already in the investment side of things. But I'm also going to bombard the Yankee games. I'm going to go to the Met Stadium, right? Go to Madison Square Garden. And that's where being in New York and these high traffic areas is really going to help. So it's going to be ultimately it's up to us to figure it out. For me, my brain isn't that crazy right now as far as figuring out the technicalities. So I'm going to go old school and just post up with some stuff, man. And I think that's another way to kind of spark conversation with each individual, right? And then when they need to ask, what is this? Well, by that point, I'll know exactly what it is, right? We'll know. And then we could help them out and really teach them not your seeds, not your wallet, these kinds of things, and onboard them the proper way where they don't need to unlearn and relearn new habits, So this is there's no real wrong answer. It's all of these different ideas could just be a culmination of just getting things done. There is no right or wrong,
I'm sure there is a wrong, but
for sure. But we haven't said any yet. Not here anyway.
I think
and that's why we're here working together. You know what I mean?
Bottom line, just getting
just the whole battery conversation, right? Maybe this is a thing, and then we check it out, and we're here to do this, to troubleshoot together, and to make sure that we're doing the best we can with what we've got.
What about Australia? What's the plan there, man? I'm pretty sure you're in charge of that.
Well, for me in particular, I'd be targeting all the rich miners. I'll be, if I can get hold of them and take them out to all the mining camps, that's what I'd be doing with them. But we've got a guy. I only just caught him recently, actually, Jimmy D Hex Hero on X, and yeah, we just started talking about some stuff at the moment. I'm trying to get him on here if he'll come on, but he's got possible NFP and charity set up already, which we could possibly use over here. So yeah, we're talking about that as well, and obviously we need to find out about the battery things and the laws over here. They're a bit stricter over here with the 2025 batteries. But yeah, ideally, I think if we can get the bulk of them here, I mean, and get them out to the Hexicans that we know here, we're all out and about, and we'd be getting same thing as Lidiverse says. You know, you pick the spots with the high traffic. For myself, for example, that would be the mining camps or the mines themselves, where I go and float around and work different weeks at a time with different people. Or like the martial arts stuff I do, go around to all the gyms that we know and talk to them, drop them off.
You could force people to take them.
Yeah, eat this. yeah, but that would be my target for me personally. And then obviously between all the other guys that we have here, I'm sure we can work something out in different industries with like within the real estate and tech and stuff like that. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of talk going on behind the scenes. We just need to find out more.
So SJ, are all the containers landing in the U.S. Long Beach ish?
So here's the thing. I don't know, but what I think is happening is that's going to be the first testing ground, is like that, and that's still part of the logistics we're trying to figure out, right? Is like, I know they're coming from China. We don't know where in the U.S. is the best port. Actually, so RG3 happens to be. I mean, that's like his wheelhouse, right? Like logistics and stuff for years. So from what I've overheard him talking about, I do believe that California is one of the cheapest places for them to land. And that's all I know of that part of it, right? Like, I don't think anything has been,
your choices would be Oakland or Long Beach. Yeah.
Exactly.
And Long Beach is probably less expensive when you're talking about storing them local as possible to the port for a period of time, right? Because this is tech up here, right? So I would think that RG3, between you, RG3, Brissology, and all the other SoCal Hexicans, you would have if I could find a place to store 3 40-foot containers, I would think.
I would think so too. I mean, I got a bus. You can stick one on top of here.
Yeah, I could fit 2 in my yard out the back here quite easily.
I'm going to put the link to the Telegram channel in the chat right now. It's also linked already in the description of this video. So again, if you guys have any info, if you want to contribute in some way, shape, or form, that as of this moment is the best place to do so. Put that there. What is going on, guys? Why so quiet? Goodness.
Everyone's thinking, the gears are ticking.
Right.
I'm researching.
I was thinking, if I could, I'm going to actually go and speak to the people inside of these stadiums and see if we could do like goodie bags, right? You know how basically at MLB games, they hand out bats and bobbleheads. Well, like, what if this is another thing that they could hand out for free, and they could just put in people's goodie bags, and then anybody who comes in will take it just because it's free stuff. Everybody likes free stuff, right? So all we need them to do is really take it and pique their mind. And then once they have it, they'll look into it and see what it is. So I guess it's probably worth having a talk with the people inside that run the stadium. And I'm going to do that too. It's not a problem. Yankee Stadium's not far from me. I could try that first. Madison Square Garden is like 2 blocks away from my job. So I could go do that as well on my way home from work. So I'm going to even call my management and see if they don't mind, right? Like if I just kind of started at my own building where I work at and see how that goes as a pilot. And if it works good here, then we know we could take it to all the other residential buildings that they own. So I'm going to take that route as well.
Yeah. Hey, so Mayo, I wanted to kind of, light a fire under your butt. Do you think that you or
someone... It is cold here at the moment. It is winter.
Oh, excellent. So yeah, it's not healthy. Who can, all the things I just read for our U.S. Postal Service? who can find that information for Australia? Because the US stuff is going to get sorted probably quicker than anything else, right? So let's just kind of in our mind say, US is like on the, it's rolling, right? Like that ball is already rolling, right? We need to get the ball rolling in these other countries, right? So like, what's up with Australia? What's up with your mail system? How does that work, right? Like, how do we find out what we need to do?
Well, give me time and I'll research it and I'll talk to the other boys, because I've only just got home, been away for nine night shifts away, so I've only just got home and just started catching up on the posts. But
gotcha.
I think this is what I was saying before. I think Jimmy D Hex Hero, I think he's already gone pretty deep into it, so I'm trying to catch up with him, get him on here. But I think he's looked into it the most so far out of the Aussies.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, myself, I could spend a bit of time today now that I'm back home. I've got a week off, so I've got time to research.
Cool. Yeah. I was just curious. And you know what, wherever you can, like whoever's any of the streamers that are Aussie based, right? Like, because that in terms of timing, like I'm usually like not around to watch those streams or to catch them. So if any of you guys, like, here's another thing, right? Like if you're out there and you're watching a stream and the person doesn't mention it, have them mention it, right? Like, or at least put this call out there that we need to understand the mailing systems of, for example, Australia, the UK, right? The EU. Like, how do we start getting those balls rolling?
And you want to get it right the first time. You don't want any mishaps.
Yeah.
Get it done right. But yeah, there's a lot of talk going on, so we'll get into that. I'll jump in that Telegram room too where's the link for that? I'll make sure I jump in that.
I just put it in the chat and it is in the description. It's t.me/filter, the number 4 and mail.
Oh, I think I'm already in that. Hang on.
Do we have any idea as far as what the messaging is going to be on these things? I'm sure we can assume to some extent, but like, is it, because I think a very powerful message, if they're not already fully created, is centered around passive income and financial freedom. I know there was a lot of messaging like that with Hex in the early days, but people see crazy numbers and crazy claims. They can maybe write those things off, but every human being in reality right now is searching after financial freedom and passive income. So hopefully that ends up on the messaging. If there's time and whoever's listening can break that apart.
Right.
That's
wink, wink.
That's all they want to see is these green candles.
I mean, that is true.
I mean, Richard's all about health and education. So I'm sure there's something along those lines in there. You know what I mean? Not only speculative and FOMO, but educational wise. I'm sure they already thought about this, man. But that's a great point you bring up for sure. You want that aspect of like FOMO, right? Like you want people to know that there's a possibility associated with this thing, right? So it's like, hell yeah, man. So I agree.
I think that was part of reading that USPS stuff, right? And the clarification between the nonprofit entity and what it can or cannot promote. I think from what I'm understanding is that's the main reason we are looking for some charity that already exists or trying to get one done as soon as possible that can promote blockchain. Because if the charity, or 501c3 is a blockchain education type charity, then that lends to us being able, because they can only, from what I understood from that reading, is they can only promote themselves, right? So it's like we can't just like have a charity that's like, oh, it's like, food for starving kids in the country, and then we're going to talk about Pulse Chain, right? Like it can't be like that. But if you are a blockchain education charity, right, and you're not specific to any certain blockchain or any certain technology, then it would, in my mind, it would make sense that then you would be able to promote a blockchain, right, or a coin or something like that. So that's my
that makes sense. They could all be under the umbrella. That makes a lot of sense. You could have the broad company that actually could talk about anything really, because that's what you're doing is blockchain. So yeah, I'm sure we'll find it. You know, this is like just all happening so fast, right? And this is what shows you like one day in crypto is really like a week in real life, you know? So it's like, I'm sure we're going to wake up tomorrow and there's going to be a new development, right? And they're going to be like, okay, well, this is the next thing now and the next thing. So it's like, it's very exciting to see, actually.
What if we just,
you know?
I got an idea. What if we all just show up in front of the big cities with a Trojan horse filled with these things?
They'll never see it coming.
But have it be like a piñata or something, you know? The Trojan horse is really like a piñata that people got to smash and everything falls out of it. That'll be pretty cool.
What if we
Like,
put
you
all the
get a
scam
turn.
coins on the outside of it? So it's all the coins that they hate, and so they decide to smash it. But then when they
Beat
smash
it.
it, our stuff comes out, and that's the good stuff.
That's kind of funny.
That's a good campaign.
When you
You get a bat. You get a bat. Everybody just smash this piñata until the
Are they
goodies
branded
come out.
bats? Is that what? Is that
Yo,
what this is?
of course, pulse chain bats, bro. What do you mean? What other kind of bats are they supposed to be? You know?
Yeah, no, the piñata is actually like electronically charged, so that when somebody actually hits it, there's like a preloaded wallet that buys the price up. So like as they go off one by one across the world,
Smack to burn.
The charts pumping. But it's like more like hide and seek. Like you got to go find the piñatas out in the wild.
I like that.
Geocaching.
All the
What do they call
DJs
those
here
things?
who are listening to this, meme that. Somebody
You guys
make a
remember,
meme
like,
of that, right?
You guys
Like,
remember, like, I love these
Bat
things.
and
It was
burn.
like one of those like initiatives. It was like a marketing initiative when Halo 2 launched back in the day, and it was like they had to go around all the telephones across the country and like pick it up and try to get information about the game.
Wow.
What do they call those things? Like real world. I'm gonna look it up quick. AI is nice for that.
Yeah. Yeah, AI.
You know, another element that's
ARG.
really-
That's what it was called. Alternate reality game.
Interesting.
What if we create a game?
Well, I saw, I can't think of his name right now. Eric, Latina Liberty's husband totally just made a post about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a geocaching treasure hunt. Like,
Yeah.
Augmented reality, right? Not all. Yeah.
No. Yeah, there's a few people that do. I think Mr. Beast and there's a few other people have done that. There's some businesses here in Australia that do that. I think one I saw recently was they had a promotion where they had a heap of new apparel in a big frozen block of ice on the street.
Nice.
And anyone that come on, there's a big sign there: smash it, smash the ice, get to keep the product. And yeah, got a lot of attention. Everyone coming along and having a go.
You know, another element of this that's really not being explored is we're talking about 501c3s, but we should also be looking at 501c10s. And I'm hoping the right people hear this so I can dive in more in an off-stream capacity, but it's not really an on-stream conversation. But 501c,
Sounds pretty exciting. Like
501c10s,
4s.
We'll see. C3s are charities. C10s are fraternal organizations that are also tax exempt, can receive donations, and aren't subject to the same scrutiny as charities. And so we should really be, imagine any fraternity, end of story. Okay. I'm not saying college frats. There's 501c10s at every level, and there's 501c10s that are worldwide organizations, including the United States, Australia, every single area being targeted. There are worldwide 501c10s. So again, we don't have to get too far in the weeds, but I have a lot of information.
The Pulse Chain fraternity, man. We all be just the
You
family of Pulse. And then that works, and that could all be universal. That might be better, like, you know what I mean? I mean, not better, but you do bring a good point. And it's like fraternities, community, right? Like we are that already. So it's like,
well, we
just need to
maybe create it, right? That's one element, but there's ones that already exist that you won't be subject to the same scrutiny as. They have to be a blockchain education charity. I'm not saying we should not do those things as well, but 501c10s, very powerful for what's happening here.
All right.
So,
you call Australia. Australia comes through. Ring, ring, ring. And this is real quick. This is one of my favorite things about FN Hangout is that for so many people, this is where they got their start or is their first time on camera. Ladies and gentlemen, from what I understand here, first time live in front of your faces, Jimmy, the Hex
Hey, Jimmy.
crew. What up?
There you go, Matt.
Nice.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Oh, that's sweet. I'm just on the phone, so I haven't got the full setup going, but thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. I hear you got that ball rolling over in Australia, perhaps, about
Look, I've got the ball rolling, but don't shoot the messenger because it's a long, drawn-out process with a lot of litigation. And you're right, SJ, it has to be completely separate to any coin or any type of crypto. It's merely an educational DeFi venture. And we actually need to establish a community around that to have any gravity or weight towards the completion of the application. Like, you need to show that there's a need for what you're providing the charity for. So most charities are born out of something that's organic from the beginning and a collective group of people with the same sort of agenda. So I've got my foot in the door with quite a few things, but we need the community to really get behind this in the real world. So we need actual meetups where we discuss these things to the general public, invite the general public along to just things that we have to organically grow first. So, I've got some good lawyers that I'm talking to and all that sort of stuff. But look, 2 months is not enough to create a non-for-profit in Australia with some of the most stringent tax laws that are in the world, and most people look at charities as ways of getting rid of disposable income in the most efficient way. So, we can't be framed as that sort of community. We need to be educational and to bring the good word of DeFi across to the whole globe and starting in Australia with what I'm doing. I was on that mission to provide the education side of it and created Hex Tech Crew before Richard actually mentioned that he was looking for people, coincidentally. But given that there was that sort of shout out, I've obviously honed in on it and is putting all my energy into it currently. Freed myself up for the foreseeable future. My background is obviously Hex day one. Previous to that, I've always waited for the right opportunity to come forward. I've observed from the sideline long enough now to see where my place in the community is, and it just feels like perfect timing.
Everything happens for a reason, man.
That's right. I'm a big believer of that. And obviously, my favorite coin.
SJ, you know who has a non-for-profit already set up in Atlanta, Georgia, is Vandell.
Okay, interesting.
He has that whole crypto technology center that's where he operates out of. It's a not-for-profit technology center that lets people code there and is a asset to kids and stuff like that. It's definitely a crypto-oriented nonprofit 5013C, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I'll reach out and see about that. And one thing I wanted to point out, because I saw someone ask in the chat about things coming from, it was shipping from the US to Australia. So just to clarify, these devices are all coming from China.
Yeah.
To wherever.
Yeah, so if we got the ball rolling here, sorry, I cut you off.
China to Australia.
Yes, yeah. So if we got the ball rolling here, it would just come straight from China to here. Is that what you just said? Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off.
That's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because I think someone thought that maybe they were all coming to the U.S. and then distributed worldwide from there. But no, it would be the crate would come. The crate that's going to be distributed within the U.S. will be shipped to, most likely California, and then the crate that's going to be distributed within Australia will be shipped from China to Australia, from China to the EU, and so on. Basically, from whichever European country. I know you're not all the EU.
Yeah, it's very exciting, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, this is something This is something else, friends. And I'm tripping. Like, I was just like, how is Richard like getting less followers on X right now? But that's all right. Just weed them out.
He's deleting them.
Oh, right.
He's flushing them out.
I've seen him blocking people.
He's trimming the fat.
Yeah, I guess that's probably what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta shake the tree every now and then.
Glenn and Fox Mulder just put it in chat. The Atlanta Blockchain Center. That's a charity. That's a not-for-profit.
Yeah, I know Marlon well, so I'll hit him up and see if this is something they can get going on that. Because, yeah, who knows? Who knows? That is something to think about for sure.
I mean, didn't the Atlanta Blockchain Center start the Pulse Chain Foundation? I mean, can that? I don't know enough about the logistics or the legalities revolving around that, but maybe there is a play there if they already have a codified Pulse Chain entity.
So I'll reach out to, because I know Crypto Coffee was on the board of that entity. So I know, and we both know Marlon pretty well. So I feel though that if that was that was possible, that would be something that already was in talks.
Yeah, that's valid.
Knowing them, yeah.
Yep, that's
so
valid.
That could quite possibly be a thing.
Yeah, Vandell and those guys. That is an educational thing too. So I think it fits exactly with what this needs. You could land it. You could land it in Long Beach in their name with a lease spot under their name or whatever you guys would like to do. However that would work, right? And then distribute from that particular place in the name of Atlanta Blockchain Center, and it'd be all good. It's a charitable organization that's been set up for, I believe, years. Has background.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting.
I think in the meantime, while we're waiting on all these electrical things, some stuff that we've been doing here down under, even though, yeah, I'll do it upside down. Can you see it? Not showing up.
I think your green
Not
screen.
real good. Yeah, it's fired up.
Yeah, your green.
Yeah, like
beer.
we've just been doing, just like a A5, I think, half an A4 page, basic printouts. It's not hard to go to your local printer shop and print out. Hang on, let me try and turn this off. Not really working. But just basic, we're talking postcards. We've got business cards and stuff like that. We've been handing out for ages. They were from T-Bird. They've been getting around for years now.
Really?
But yeah, we've been handing out these. I don't know how long it's been, 5 years, so non-stop. But yeah, anyone can do this stuff themselves while they're still waiting on deliveries of containers and battery items.
Yeah,
it's not hard.
Absolutely. I have a bunch of cards from Ego Builder. Gave me he mails out. If anybody wants any cards, stickers, things like that, he'll mail anywhere in the world. And so I had a bunch. And what I'll usually do is after I'm done getting gas, I'll stick one of the cards in the credit card reader machine to whoever comes up next. Like if they're trying to put their credit card in, they have to take it out.
And they definitely look at it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those little things that it's like, oh, like how much good does that do? But you never know. You never know who's going to see a sticker or see a card or find something.
Any bit helps.
Oh, I actually am interested.
And there's people who love stickers. Like I know people personally who make sticker books. Like they take stickers off the post and then put it in a book. So now, like this goes a long way actually. So honestly, stickers might be a very simple and cheap, very good idea to get the word out.
Yeah, interesting. I drive by my one of these coffee shops that I go to, and I stuck a PulseX sticker on it like 2 weeks ago, and it's still there. So.
You're a guerrilla marketer. That's why.
Yeah. I mean, I stick stickers anywhere I go. I love it. It's fun.
Slap a sticker. Everyone loves it. Hey, Nuclear Herbs has just posted in your chat talking about the Pulse Chain Foundation LLC.
Marlon started the foundation. Yeah. He's just talking about. There you go. We know. We'll see. We'll see if there's more information there. If there's a route there, that'd be cool.
GTR said this may be a wallet. Yeah, bro. It could be. I mean, this is something that is all speculation. But I mean, I like to listen to people when they speak. And Richard said he will make the world's best wallet. He never said it's going to be a hard wallet though, or not. Right. So like now this leaves the speculation out there. And like sometimes the best answers are left right in front of you. And there's just like little crumbs. Right. So it's like the speculative action of this whole thing is enough to give a lot of marketing, right? Like just people speculating and talking and posting, that's enough to bring a lot of volume just by itself. So the fact that he doesn't tell you what it is, this dude is like the marketing genius already, right? Like what a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, suspense is great.
Super. You need the
Oh,
FOMO.
look at that.
Yo, Cat. Cat. RJ.
I thought you were having the night off, you person.
You're muted. Oh wait, no,
It shouldn't
you're
be.
just, it's hard to hear you.
Is it
You're
coming
just
through?
quiet.
Am I coming through?
Coming through.
No,
Yes, sir.
can't hear you.
Well, hello, everybody. What an epic
Go.
night you guys are having.
We hit the 9. We've hit the 9.
Yeah,
Right?
Look, Mayo, we got some fast, KG, Triplet, Axis. Oh my goodness, Jimmy D, Lindbergh. Dude, you're killing it, Lindbergh. You're killing it out there, brother.
Trying.
It doesn't sound like it's your mic coming through, just FYI.
Check 1, 2.
Oh,
Check.
yeah. Come on, come
Someone
close.
say boomer.
Yeah, come closer. But
Is that?
oh, he wasn't looking.
Maybe it's just you. That's
It's possible.
no, maybe.
What'd
No,
you say?
someone is trying to enter, but the room is full.
Oh,
Well.
Too bad. So sad.
first in, best dress, eh? Take that as a hint. Don't be late to pulse chain.
Well, I was,
Nice.
my beater. Yeah, I got my beater on. I was in the backyard chilling, little summertime, running some Sublime, hanging out with the kids in the swimming pool, just chilling, California vibes. It was, man, what a nice night. What a nice night. Kids came over to visit college. Oh, feeling good, man. Feeling good. And we got some stuff going on. I'll tell you that right now.
There's
You
some
guys
stuff.
have probably been talking about it all night, so
Yeah, for sure. We mentioned you in terms of knowing about the logistics and how I think you did say that of the ports, Long Beach would probably be the best in terms of cost. For
Long Beach. What are you talking about?
I'm so sorry,
Get it right.
Gotta clean my glasses.
this guy.
Oh, what
I
a
really think I don't know. Your mic just
Our RG3 ran the streets when it was called LBC, right?
the LBC, baby. LBC. Born and raised. Me and Snoop were born in the same
I
hospital.
was literally going to say Snoop says that 1 or 2 or 10 times.
Yeah.
He's a little younger than I am, but we were born in the same hospital. Well, I grew up in the wood, and he grew up out in that area too. So
Let's make sure Snoop gets one of these packages.
Yeah.
right.
Here's our
Actually,
target market.
Good call.
100%.
Yeah. That's good stuff. It's good to see the community coming together like they are. I'm getting lots of DMs. The excitement's picking up. Our messaging is getting on point. I'm proud of everybody. I'm really, really proud of all the Hexicans out there. I just wish that we would spend more time with each other and outboard messaging than dicking with trolls. Like, ghost them, guys. Ghost them, block them, get them out of your life. It's a
Dioed that shit.
It's a good waste,
Dioed that shit.
and we don't need that. We've always been about positive messaging here, about discourse, about we can have hard conversations, but we don't need to do all that stupid shit. It's counterproductive. We need to get out there and show everyone what this community is about and what Richard's brought to the table, and defend it, support it, and get it in front of as many people as possible. Because, like I said, the biggest war that we've ever fought is at our doorstep right now. And it's not the crypto community. It's everything's coming at us from outside. Centralized crypto is on the rise. Centralized crypto is coming, and we've got to support and defend DeFi.
It probably warrants a conversation just around generally about how important the technology is. Like, I think people forget because we're so worried about price.
Yeah, price.
About how amazing it is that You can send some homie some coins if they need help in a pinch, if they're anywhere in the world, anytime. Like, that's pretty powerful shit. But people forget that because they're too busy sitting on their bags waiting for the fat green candle to print. That fat green candle will print as soon as you step outside your front door. Believe me.
There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of good outbound messaging, you know, and I've, you know, look, I'm just as guilty as you guys are with wasting time on trolls. And it was real easy to do in the bear market, you know, especially, you know, it all comes in a barrage and you're so used to, you know, fighting anyway. We've been fighting, you know,
since day one.
And so we're geared that way. We're built that way. Hexicans are built different than everybody else out there. We're always on the defense. We're always, you know, ready to take anything that comes our way. And so what I've seen though is that people are using that to clout chase. People are using you guys to get big numbers, to make themselves relevant. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of irrelevant people out there that are becoming relevant because of us. And that's just something that we've always done here, you know. Even when you look at the technologies like Uniswap, and you know they used us and then they screwed us. And so, you know, all of the entities, all of the people that are coming at us sideways, we just need ghosted. And we need to go out there and positive message and, you know, basically evangelize the good word of DeFi and show the legislators and the people what DeFi is about. You know, I saw that when we all went to New York and we all showed up for that court hearing. And it was like, I'm not going to say that what we did like flipped the whole script, but it was part of it, you know. The fact that we were there, the fact that we showed up in force, the fact that we filled up 2 rooms and respectfully sat there and listened and were part of, it moved the needle too, you know, on top of everything else, on top of the amazing defense that Richard had, on top of the screw ups that the SEC made. You know, this community backed it up and put something positive on that very negative situation. And the community needs to be, you know, commended for that. And it just shows the power of what we can do. You know, we came from nothing. We came out of the ashes of FUD, and we ran this thing all the way up to 10,000x with Richard. And we can do it again. We can do it again. And we're stronger now. We've got better people now. We've got streamers and smart motherfuckers in this room here and outside of this room that are watching or that are in our space that may not even be watching or be here, but we've got the best of the best in crypto. And, you know, we've proven that by not going away. And now we really got to show everybody who we are, because we got to put a face on DeFi, because they're trying to put a face on DeFi. They want us to be terrorists, drug dealers, money launderers. That's what they want us to look like. And that's not what's sitting in here.
I look like all those things combined. For sure.
I'll be whatever you want me to be.
Hey, real quick, RG, that made me think of the list of people these are going to. Like, I wonder if we can get government officials on that list. Like, how do we make sure the people that are making these laws?
Hey, does it count that I ran in the federal election that just ran here in Australia a few months ago? Does that mean I'm becoming a government official?
Ooh,
I didn't get voted in, but I ran.
Honored.
And that's the things we have to do. Like, you know, we need to contact Zach and reach out to him. You know, he is, you know, the treasurer of Nevada. He's you know, he's our guy. He is like, he wants to, you know, he showed up at our event, spoke on stage, and you know, he's the treasurer of Nevada, and he's running for a higher position this next year. And all the people that he has around him are interested in what he's found out about DeFi. And so, yeah, we've got to outbound message to as many people as we can, and start, you know, like I said, putting the face, putting the story, putting the tenets of what Richard's been talking about, freedom of you know, speech, freedom to publish, all those things are what needs to be on the table, because we've got to let them see what DeFi means to real and regular people and what we use it for and how we use it. And, it's the days of the, we've got a fight here on our hands and we've got to come together. And I love what I'm seeing. Like the community is fucking coming together. And it's the unified messaging, the fact that Richard's being more vocal, being more involved in, what's going on is only strengthening us and bringing us together more. So it's time. It's time to.
You just made a good point too, man. With the whole Congress thing. So while at NFT NYC, I met this group of people. They say Stand with Crypto, I believe, was their brand, and they're all about just like reaching out to the government and trying to change the sentiment towards crypto. And I think I'm going to reach out to them because a lot of the people there, they all want to help, and we all have the same messaging, right? Regardless of what blockchain you come from, we all want to break into the mainstream, right? So if this thing could be used to kind of pull everybody up, I'm sure they'll want to all be a part of it. So I'm going to actually reach out to the Stand with Crypto team and see if there's anything that they could do to help us out or get it into the right place, So it's like maybe this is a culmination of even outside factors that aren't on Pulse Chain. They could come in and help us too, right? Whatever helps us helps them. Like anything that garners more attention and positive sentiment towards crypto is going to help all of us regardless. So I think, I'm going to start reaching out to the other brands that I met while at NFT NYC and see who wants to be a part of it. Like all tides raise all ships, right?
Yeah, I think Stand with Crypto is Coinbase's deal. So, I mean, we may need to, we've got to go out there and message, but we've got to be wary of everybody that we do talk to.
Yeah, like they were for the Genius Act.
And let's just.
No. No. We got to stay away from them.
Yeah, and we don't need to necessarily stay away from them, but we do have to have discourse with them and see where they stand. Because when I went to DC and was talking to those early groups, the groups before Stand with Crypto, where it was just the lobbyists that were lobbying for the centralized exchanges like FTX right before the FTX explosion happened. That's what they were doing. They were lobbying for what we're seeing today that got passed. This thing didn't come up. This Genius Act didn't come up because of, the administration that's in now. That legislation was handed to them and said, hey, this is what we want you to pass. You got to understand that's what happened here. This administration didn't put that together. That's been written for a long time. This Genius Act has been written for a long time, and they did it for their centralized autonomous organizations. And so, CBDC is bad in the hands of the government is what they were all screaming. But now CBDC is good in the hands of wealthy billionaire, class centralized agencies. And I don't think that's where DeFi is and where it exists. This is a people's movement. This is about us, about sovereignty, about the freedom to transact. We need privacy. We need security. We need all those things. We need the ability to use DeFi. And at this point, they've made it to where we could be aided out of this thing, terminated, obliterated, whatever you want to call it. They've set this thing up to where they can. They've got 35 reasons in that bill that they can come and tag you as questionable for doing business outside of their centralized currencies that they've created. So we've got a hill to climb, and it's going to start with, us coming together and getting the true word of DeFi and putting a face and stories to it. It's got to be like, when you look at what they've said about Richard and you look at who he really is, his story is what really matters, who he really is. The false accusations that they've made about him. Richard they called him the spam king, and that was their biggest thing, right? Richard was like the first guy to go out and do that. It wasn't a bad thing when Richard did it. It was innovative when Richard did it, and they called it a bad thing. Just because the guy's smart and used technology to go out and leverage the system doesn't mean that he's a bad guy. And for those of you who've seen early Richard, when he came into our streams, when he He used to sit here on the FN Hangout and talk with us. He's a heartfelt guy. He wants to do good, and he loved this community and everything that we were doing. And that's really his story and who he is and what he's done. He's put these tools in our hands to go out and do real DeFi, because it didn't exist before. When I got in early, we were looking for that. We always wanted that, but there wasn't that. There was shit that didn't have wallets. You had to create this weird crap. Somebody else held your shit. It was just all that weird stuff. And then Richard finally put it out there where self-custody was a real thing. And, that's his story. He's the guy that did that, and nobody else did. And we've got to just keep telling all our stories. Everyone here has a story as why they're in DeFi. Some of you are developers, some of you are building things, but it's regular folks. Some of you guys that are, like me, that didn't have a way to get out of the mess I was in as far as work goes. But that's the stories that need to be told. I'm going to stop talking.
Captain, since maybe you know a little bit about this, do you know if the message, however that's being presented in this packaging, right? Do you know if it's in English?
What?
Do you know if the message in this packaging is in English?
So I'm going to be completely open and honest. I know that people think I'm involved, but I'm really not. I'm just I've been throwing some ideas out there, and those messages I think have been getting back to the people that are working on this project. So I really don't know all of the details.
Could you tell somebody that knows somebody to ask them to tell everybody if it's in English? Because if it was in Spanish, for instance, right? It'd be awesome to get Randy involved in this. He knows all the people down there.
That's an easy fix. We can language match this anywhere.
That's what I think would happen, right? Is like the ones that are in English would go to the US and other English speaking.
English. been talking long.
Yeah.
But I would imagine if it goes well, right, with English speaking places, then we would continue the endeavor and we could change the messaging to be in whatever language, right?
Yeah.
I can just tell you that I really do like the plan. I like where it's at, where it's going. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. Richard always talked about marketing, putting mass marketing together. And, that's getting ready to happen. And I think that, it's going to be nothing but positive for us. It's going to blow people's minds. It's going to be a big deal. And we need to help with the follow-up on that. So content creators, be ready to start answering questions of people who are going to come to us, through this marketing program. They're probably going to get out to a lot of people in crypto, as also people that are not in crypto. So we're going to need to, tone down our message. Like, fast here is cutting edge of, and that's good for the core and for building and for moving us into the future. But those things we've got to get simple messaging out there, getting people.
I can use smaller words.
What's that?
I can use smaller words. It'll be okay.
No. And I don't mean your messaging. Your technologies and the things that you're up on are like cutting edge, bleeding edge stuff that we're not going to want to educate people on that right off the bat. That's stuff that they need to find out as they move along.
Yeah. Level 4. You're right.
Literally, you're level 4 on the cutting edge of a technology that people are afraid of, they don't understand, and they're excited about. They want to get involved in it, especially if this marketing tool gets in front of them and they are interested. They need to be able to go to a place to get that. How do I put that wallet together that KG and Internet Money put together? How do I set up a DeFi wallet? how do I self-custody? What are the security risks and reasons why I want to do it that way? And
Call the hotline. I'm telling you, I really I'm interested to see if that is something that comes to fruition. Is it's like, hey, here's this thing, and then now there's a hotline you can call, or maybe an AI agent, walk you through the basics.
So that's I think that's what we need to focus on, is a lot of us, putting out the basics, because we've prided ourselves on being, the smartest in crypto. I mean, guys like Axis and Fast and Triple Engage. I mean, you guys have just freaking killed it out there and put technology in front of all of us that is stuff that nobody's ever seen before. And and that's scary. It's scary to people just coming in. So the simplicity of DeFi really needs to be the first thing that people understand, get, because we don't want to turn them off. We want them to know that they can do it and not be afraid of it, and become part of the story. And then as they go on, they'll dig our content up. They'll understand. They'll want to go further. They'll want to provide liquidity. They'll want to do all of those things as time goes on. But
you think Richard's targeting older folks with a mail campaign like this?
I think so. I think so. It's where the money's at. It's like for instance, the cigar thing lately. I'm an aficionado. I like cigars, and I went to a couple of lounges. Me and Triple Dad have been around the world. KG's a cigar smoker. We go in these lounges and boom, all of a sudden you're in front of 5-10 people. Everybody's cool, calm, collect, having a good time, spending money on a luxury item. They're usually upper middle class folk, and their conversations open up, and they ask, hey, what do? You bring up crypto, and boom, like they're hooked. They want to talk. And those are the people that we want to outbound message to, is the people that have expendable income, that are well put together, that want to get in this thing. They just don't know how to. They've heard about it from everybody. They got a brother-in-law that has Bitcoin, or some dick with bud or whatever, and so they want to be part of it. And they're going to ask you about
start my onboarding with dick with butt. That's
and
definitely what it is.
And so really on the outside, Hex is a simple product when it comes down to it, because it's a crypto that they can understand. It just sends and receives like Bitcoin, but it has that staking feature. And I'm telling you, people in their mid 40s and up to 60, 65, they understand what Hex is. They do. They may not understand the mechanics of how it works, but they understand yield. They understand delayed gratification. They understand what a certificate of deposit is. They get it. And once you explain it to them simply, that they can go and get a tool and utilize something that has price appreciation and all those other things, they're interested. And, showing them how to do it simply and safely is what they want. That's really what they want. And so, the simplest education that we can go out and do is going to be the best.
It sounds like the perfect storm of a marketing campaign is on its way. It's going to target the people with money. It's going to give them connections to where they can learn, and some sort of gift that they'll want to take. That's probably going to be cool. Probably going to have a crypto, theme in some way.
Yeah. Get them talking. Give them something to get them talking about.
And speaking selfishly, but also from a legitimate objective perspective, obviously there's bias, so take it with what you will. If we can get all the people we are reaching out to understand that internet money is the wallet for Pulse Chain, their experience will be that much easier. Fiat on-ramps, cross-chain swapping, connect to all Pulse Chain dApps, price tracking for all Pulse Chain assets. I mean, it makes crypto money real, and it makes it real for Pulse Chain. So obviously it's a big ask for Richard to put that on the marketing naturally, but when we get the hook, hey, people like Pulse Chain. What's the intro? What are we telling them to do? It's what are we pointing them to? Other wallets that don't even support Pulse Chain out of the box, and there's all this extra configurations you have to do. Some wallets are geo-blocking people from accessing the wallet at all. It's what is the simplest thing? Is the wallet. It's the boat. It's their tool to navigate and access Pulse Chain. So getting them on the hook is one thing, and then number two is what are we doing when they do take the bait?
Yeah, they call that the action step. And
exactly.
This is probably the first time that I've been on a stream that I actually fully agree with you in that way, because internet money does it's more user. The whole problem with DeFi is that it's so complex.
Yes.
And you have to be like there's basically 10,000 of us that are experts that are competing against each other every day, fighting over whose football team's better. But it's really just rallying together the really strong products that provide and offer the best user experience that's going to solve the problem. That's kind of what the route that we took with the accessalive.app was like, taking this concept of that Steve Jobs said, which is you start not with the technology, but you start with the user experience and you work your way backward. So you start with just a very minimalistic interface that just anyone can use, and then you can add things as it makes sense. But yeah, we took that approach, and I think it worked out pretty good. But internet money is another one.
Yeah, it just needs to be simple. Like there's too many clicks, too many steps, and people give up. And you guys are bringing a simplicity. I guess you're making it easier. Yeah,
there's like a ton of context to crypto, right? Like people pay me a lot of money to sit here and talk about the market all day, because it's like, this is really complex, and you have to know what the DXY is doing. You have to know what Bitcoin and Ether are doing, because then Pulse is a proxy to Ethereum, and if Ethereum is going to go up, then we have a better shot of going up, and it's this much more than, you know what I mean? And I think people get lost in the data on that, and it's I find myself across in the flesh with somebody talking about their dividend stocks and not really having the words to quickly deliver the message, right? And I think that we haven't solved that yet. No blockchain has solved that. But I will say one thing, and that is that all of crypto is really just one coin. And what I mean by that is it's $1 into crypto is a win for everybody, no matter what. And so like you should be using, like I've always used it in the beginning days of like being in Hex and stuff. I always started with Bitcoin because it would seem to make the most sense to the most number of people. And then, over time it's gotten easier to talk about Ethereum because it's like Bitcoin, but you can program new software on top of it. Right. And so that's kind of where people are at right now, is like maybe they know what Bitcoin is a little bit, maybe they know what Ethereum could be. And then you just start them there. Like, and then, yeah, I think it's, hopefully we can solve that problem of the best delivery. Like, I think it's just a matter of like the mass consciousness needing this technology, and then they're going to be forced to learn. Now, the problem is that we're trying to get people in now while things are affordable. Most people aren't going to get in until 20x higher. Now, the idea here, I think, is like, let's push this marketing push now while prices are low, so that maybe, just maybe, if you send out 10 million of these things, maybe 100,000 people take action. And that's better than the existing 100,000 people that may be in here staked with Hex, or maybe the 20,000 people that are experts that are playing every day. Because we don't want to have another situation where we run the chart up 10,000x and we just have like 2,000 guys that control the network effect. Like, that didn't work. Okay. So we got to figure out a better way to get it so that the funds are more evenly distributed out across way more people early on in the pump. That way, when the thing pumps, the network effect can go that much farther. And if you remember back to Bitcoin's best cycle wasn't its first cycle or its second cycle in terms of adoption. It was its third cycle when it went from $160 low to 20,000. That is when the first wave of real adoption occurred, in my mind. So these things take a long time, and it's going to take us longer than it took Bitcoin, I think, in the grand scheme. This really might be a 15-year battle. But we have a real good shot here to make wave number 2 a big-ass wave, and that's what we're here for. So.
And congrats to you, KG, for the latest updates on the Internet Money Wallet. I'm excited to play around with it some more. Yeah, I've heard it's making the functionality and use a lot better.
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. and it's night and day. So if you've used the wallet prior to this update, you really haven't used the wallet yet. So I won't even dive into the technicals, but we were using Wallet Connect to connect to dApps, and it was working with about 80% of stuff, but we added an in-app browser, and we added another way to connect to dApps on desktop. So now you can connect to 100% of dApps, even if MetaMask is showing as the only wallet supported. And we optimized the speed, and it's just so much faster and better. And, you know, it also is the Pulse Chain ethos at the core of it. We collect no data. Pulse Chain cares about privacy. We're open source. It is, yes, a Web 2 legacy product by nature of it being on the Android, iOS, and Chrome app stores. You can't get away from that yet. We don't have crypto Google Play yet. But hey, there's an idea for anyone who wants to get GigaBrain. But we are as close to a full crypto product as a legacy product can be. Our contracts are immutable, open source, everything you want, right? And so not only are we user friendly, but we align with the ethos, and we're constantly improving. So by the time that they even got if this was included in the initiative, Internet Money Wallet would have evolved again. So, I appreciate the kind words, and we truly are building every single day. We have been since before Pulse Chain was even a thing.
Heck yeah.
Legend, mate. You're a legend.
Thank you. And
Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate everybody. And on that note, I am gonna have to jump. But before I did, I wanted to share my theory of what I think the devices might be. And I think it's all coming together because RG3 is definitely connected. He knows everything. Don't let him tell you any different. And so he comes in here talking about LBC and Snoop Dogg. Okay, so now I know it has something to do with Cali. And RH is always talking about burning, right? Burning PLS. Okay. Snoop Dogg, Cali, burning. These are definitely going to be dab vape pens. And RH is mass mailing Snoop Dogg campaign. He's going to get everybody burning, and it's going to be making the world feel good. That's clip it.
Rich is sending the Benjamins. Oh my God. The Benjamins are coming. Oh my God. Okay, G, you're crazy, bro.
Drop the mic, baby.
That's not on brand with Sci-Vibe.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for having me on again. RG, SJ, thank you for all your work.
Right on,
Talk to you guys soon.
See you, man.
See you, man.
See ya.
Good work.
Well, there's a spot. Who's gonna take it? Who's coming up in here? I've seen a few people have tried to join while we're full. So if you do want to come up, you might have some time. It's late. I might be sleepy, but I don't know. It's been a great chat.
I just got here.
Oh, okay, cool. Take over. Bye.
Now, whatever that last one.
I'm a hangout.
But we used to have real long streams, and we talked a lot, and then we'd spend 2 hours in the green room together afterwards, talking about things, and so it's good that the community is talking about positive things and coming together and throwing ideas out there, because that's what we need to be doing. That's what we should have always been doing. And I know the bear market puts us all in a not in the right frame of mind, and so it was hard. It's been hard to get people to react in the appropriate manner. But here we are. Like usual, when the green candles in the market show up, everybody shows up. And that's what we're seeing. And people are wanting to get involved now, and that's good.
All right, and we got someone else in the room. Are you ready? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to come on up in the green room. Oh, right. So must be that Skilla. Oh, I hear an echo.
Yeah. We're echoing through you.
There you go.
Or just turn the YouTube off. I think you
No, it was someone else.
I think it's coming through his own mic by the sounds of how quick that is.
Somebody else.
Oh, no, it is.
Hello.
Hang on a sec. I'll put on Bluetooth. Hang on.
Okay. That's why I love
yeah.
this,
I'm
right?
gonna
Because
do.
a lot of people are, I've never done this before. I've never been here.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Jimmy? First time here. What do you reckon? How you
Yeah,
feeling?
you do.
It's an absolute honour. Nice to meet you, Captain.
Yeah.
And yeah, watching you since the early days with dollar cost crypto, actually.
Oh yeah, those old streams.
Yeah, they're pretty dodgy.
the discovery phase. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Good, man.
now it's come a long way.
We're glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. We
Yeah, you're coming up on 5 years, Cap. It's I actually just went to look at the history. It's July 6th was the first FN Hangout.
wow.
Like your first
Just
stream
do
ever was July
A
6th.
5-year celebration stream or what?
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to do that.
Get the gang back together.
The band back together and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
What-
That's good timing.
What was the date?
July 6th of 2020.
Sure. Oh yeah, so next month. Yeah. It's not
July
far off.
6th.
Yeah. So it'd be July 7th for us because we're in the future.
Yes, you are.
What do you got for us, Jimmy? You bringing some alpha in here? What you got?
Well, you've got my full commitment in trying to bring the Aussie Hexicans together and show some leadership on this side of the pond. I want to organise some get-togethers across the major cities in Australia in person, even if it's just me and one other person meeting face-to-face, shaking hands and kissing babies. Then we need to start lobbying with, the government side of things on DeFi and making them aware of, some of the more free-thinking politicians in the independent side over here, just so that they know there are people around doing this sort of stuff, talking about it, trying to create more freedoms with digital finance. So yeah, it's a long process as far as the charity side of things and non-for-profit, but there's all sorts of stuff we can do right now, which I'm planning behind the scenes with the guys in Australia. I'm going to fly to each city myself and meet whoever's willing and just say g'day and take it from there. Who knows where it'll go, but my vision is vast. So yeah, I'm enthusiastic. I waited for the right moment to put in my effort so that I had everything in place in my own life to put in 100%.
Give Ty a ring when you're out doing that. He's in Melbourne.
Who's
Magic carpet ride.
Oh,
Ty.
Yeah.
He's in Melbourne.
So Melbourne will be about 2 weeks.
Nice. I'll let him know.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
let me touch on something that you said and put a message out there. So I've dealt with a few politicians, and got in front of them and spoke to them, and here's what I want everybody to understand is that there is a divide in this space with politicians because of the, let's face it, Bitcoin was brought in by libertarian types, which are very, very small government. They don't like politicians or bureaucrats and all that kind of stuff. Now, let's all face it. They exist. We've faced them firsthand, and we know that they rule the roost. And no matter what, if we want this thing to really go, we've got to bring the rest of the world in. We've got to bring in the masses, and the only way to do that, because the legislators have their hands in this. So here's what we need to understand. When I've sat down and talked to them, each of them has said the same thing. Now, I've talked to lower level, from Congress people, not that Congress people are lower level, down through, the treasurers, the of states, secretaries of state, governors, those kinds of things. They're trying now. Not all politicians are bad. Not all politicians are good. They're all somewhere in one area or another. They all fall on the spectrum. One thing that they are interested in is their reelection their constituents, the people that they deal with, and they want to, if they want to bring something to the table, it's got to be safe. It's got to be something that they can put in front of other legislators in order to get favorable response to. So that means if we're dealing with politicians, it's not about telling them what we want. It's about trying to figure out what they want and how we adjust to that and how we message to that and how we prove to them that this is something that they can get behind. You know, that was Zach's biggest message to me all the time that he and I have had this relationship together. He said, look, you know, all the things that you're saying are great, RG, but when we sit down and we write legislation or we want to be favorable to you guys, it's got to be something that we can get passed. It's got to be something that we can put in front of the legislators to get passed. And if it doesn't look safe, if it doesn't pass the smell test, it's not going to. So we've got to realize that just talking to them or just bringing things to them is not it. We've got to figure out how to message to them that they're going to want to lean into us and be part of us. And that means that we may have to concede in some areas. And I don't mean that, you know, in our technologies or whatever, but we've got to speak to these people on their level and what they're looking for. And I've learned that there is a certain way, a certain type of language that these people want to hear, and they just want to feel safe. They're interested, but you know, these guys have careers. They have big money behind them. They have big companies behind them, and all these other things behind them. And you know, that messaging has to be appropriate.
Yep, absolutely agree. So my angle is from fraud prevention perspective. So I won't mention much of what we're doing in here, but it's about saving people from themselves as far as being scammed online. And within the crypto industry, that is quite a big thing in Australia, and there are major restrictions at banks as a result of it. So I'm actually going to pitch to them that our community and our NF non-for-profit is to do with fraud prevention and education around safety online with, you know, finance. So yeah, and there's obviously, it's $1 billion cost to the nation that we lose so much money through scamming and people losing their keys and wallets. So that's where I'm going to probe and infiltrate their system as best I can and become on their level, so that like I become an insider, and then slowly over time erode the barriers and educate the close people that I can and reach out to and make connections with, so that there's not this big download on them like the Matrix when you just turn up and start sounding like a crazy person about, you know, DeFi's freedom and I'm, you know, I believe in this till you know, the end of time, and it's just you sound like you're off your rocker. So it needs to be slow and steady with the right people. I've already looked into what type of people might be into that. I have my own local connections with people and politicians. I've run businesses for several years here where I am, multi-businesses with you know, 10s and 20, 30, 40 employees. So it's something I can negotiate and speak on, but still maintain the division and clarity between the fraud and safety side and then what we're doing. It comes so much later. So that's why I say that it's a slow, steady victory, because if we do anything fast-paced, it's just going to be snuffed out before it can hit a foothold. So that's my angle. It's different, but it's coming from a place of truth and honesty. So it's founded on the education and connections that I've developed over my Hex journey and Richard's involvement in my life.
Perfect. That's exactly how the messaging needs to be delivered.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it needs to be. Yeah, because we don't have centralized entities that can help people with security and with safety, and everyone's just so scared to get involved with it, and they actually need someone to hold their hand through it even now for them to be willing to do it. So it's a ground roots kind of movement, and it's definitely something in Australia that's a hot topic at the moment, is freedom and what's going on in all other areas of politics here. It's very one-sided at the moment.
Yeah,
It's 94% one-sided.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Mayo. Yeah.
well,
Yeah, that's the same thing where I come from. Like, you guys have known me long enough now, but I've learned early on, when we go too hard, too quick, you're right. They think you're a
that's
crazy
exactly
nutter.
why I haven't even talked to anyone until now, to be honest, because we had to filter out all the trolls, the idiots, the grifters, the people that just take advantage of everyone else. They've all been thinned out a fair bit now. So now my voice is being heard loud and clear, whereas before it would have just been part of the chatter.
Yeah, that's a big thing we're trying to do, is when myself and the people around me in my area is not teach. I suppose the big thing, hang on, I'll restart. The biggest thing is everyone's scared of being scammed, right? People have come in, they're being scammed, they won't come back. They're never going to do it again. So if you can teach them to do it right and do it right the first time, then they'll keep coming. Then they'll pass that on to the next person, pass on to the next person. If someone comes in, they get scammed, they're going to leave and they're going to come back, and it's all over. So that's in regards to the education and getting them in to start with. It's slow, steady, get it right.
Yeah.
Prevent the scams, prevent losing money. Yeah.
You're never going to get rid of the scammers. They exist everywhere. They've always existed throughout time.
That's right. The rats will come out when the ship starts to sink.
Yeah, but we've got to separate ourselves from them, and that's what kind of really ticked me off about the whole Bitcoin event that they just had. They literally, and I'm not saying that Ross doesn't have a place in the history of crypto, but he's never done anything for crypto, and they have him as a spokesperson. I mean, the man literally had a site. Now, of course, it was open and free to anybody to do whatever they want, that had hackers on it, that had these scammers on it, that had these people that were programming things to come and steal your Bitcoin, to come and steal your shit. And it's the bedfellows that they're making, it's not helping the cause any. We've got to understand that we've got to separate ourselves from those people, from the people that have promoted that stuff, from the people that have been involved in it. And look, we've all had scammers in our midst and doing things to us and making projects and things on Pulse Chain that have hurt us all. But we've got to figure out a way to separate ourselves, protect ourselves, and not call everything a scam, but warn people about what's out there, and teach people to hey, if you're going to get this cash system, basically it's what it is a cash system, that there are risks and personal responsibilities that you have to take to safeguard yourself. And and that means not clicking on everything, and not making sure that your sources are trusted and provided for you by the people that are trusted in the space. That's another big thing that we're going to have to contend with, and separating ourselves from that and being the messengers out there that are speaking to that without creating fights and calling people that have made mistakes or made bad tech that have or even whales that have come in and rug pulled and done things like that. We can't call all those people scammers. We have to make sure that our messaging is directed at the scammers and what the scams are and how people need to protect themselves from it. So that's another thing, another hurdle that we're going to have to get over as we move into this space and fight these battles, because they're going to want to lump us all
in the call center.
What's that?
That could be a job for the Richard Hart crypto call center. We could be the only blockchain with a call center where you could actually call and be like, "There's somebody's DMing me. They want my private keys. What should I do?" Richard Hart tells you what to do, or the AI version of, right? I don't think Ethereum has that. Pretty sure Solana doesn't have that.
It's gonna be hard how you would, I suppose, regulate would be the word. I don't know if they're humans running the call center or AI running the call center. You'd have to somehow moderate them that they wouldn't then turn around and scam people. Like, well, everyone's.
The AI could The AI would probably be set up to not scam people. I would think that would be the focus. But if you did have humans, AI could moderate the humans too, right? Like AI could track the calls. But like, if AI is getting pretty good, so like if on this free gift that's coming out, there is a connection to 1-800 Pulse Chain, and Richard Hart would tell you the ins and outs of crypto, and not your keys, not your coins. Never share your seed phrase, never share your private keys, right? Like AI could help a lot with stuff like that going forward. And if we're the only ones with a crypto help desk that's like real, right? That'd be pretty cool.
I think AI is definitely the way to go in that, because I mean it's not that hard in this day and age to like program a custom GPT. Like you could just create a GPT based off of Richard Hart's teachings if that's the way we want to do it. Exactly to what you're saying, and have it community reviewed, and from there it can answer simple questions about onboarding, questions about, like you said, like your scams. Because I think if there are humans, I almost feel like it goes away from the core tenets of like a trustless system, right? As well as like many of the tenets of like pretty much you can guarantee if you get a text message these days from Coinbase, it's not from Coinbase, right? And so it almost, to those of us who've been around, like I feel like a phone number almost feels scammy, except for the fact that it would be inbound calls with an AI agent, which of course there's the logistical and like cost saving benefits of that as well, right? You're not staffing that. Right. So you don't have to worry about the human element and like, oh, well, to reduce costs, we brought in volunteers, and who's vetting these volunteers and what are they actually saying. And
if it's all AI, you don't have to record the calls. Whereas if it's humans, maybe you do, and there's privacy issues. So like 100% AI would be pretty cool. Obviously,
and pretty cutting edge.
Hey, we got somebody in the green.
But now I mean, we're time to talking.
Another one of our Hexican streamers out there. What's happening?
Hey,
on, man?
It's my brother from another mother.
There you go, Matt.
What's up, Steven? I just wanted to mention. I just wanted to mention real quick. Say thanks for having me on. I wanted to segue off of what Jimmy was saying. Jimmy said, we're going to sound like crazy people talking about this and that. And while we're talking about sounding crazy, I've got an idea for all of you. Crypto's a cult, right? So here we go. Here's my pitch. I hear a lot of people talking about 501c3. So a little about my background. I got into crypto into like 2020, so fairly late. I was leverage trading Ethereum at the time. Got a pretty nice bag for where I was at, and then lost it all. Right, lost it all like most people do. Like I lost like 60, 70K, which is what I had made in like 7-8 months. Except I had taken 10% everything I made and I bought Hex with it. And when I was liquidated, my Hex was all I had. So Richard Hart kind of like saved me, and from there I've like built my bags and my package back up. So that's a little bit about me. Just to kind of say I'm probably one of the newer guys on this call for sure. But as far as not-for-profit organizations are concerned, like that's what I studied in university. So I have a background in formation of not-for-profit organizations of different types, and I've heard a lot of talk about. Somebody earlier had mentioned fraternal organizations. That's definitely a way to go. It's definitely something to consider. Fraternal organizations, unfortunately, normally have to be guided from a central group. So there's a central regulatory group, and then there's like chapters. So that's like a little complicated. What instantly comes to mind, and this is where we get a little goofy, or I get a little goofy, is if anybody wants to look up 508c1a. So if we're in 501c3, we come down a couple of chapters, and you can Google this plain as day. IRS code 508c1a. It's a PMA, Private Membership Association. PMAs are somewhat notorious. They're most commonly faith-based organizations. So just about every, and of course I'm talking only from U.S. perspective. I don't have any kind of like knowledge of anything outside the U.S. But from a U.S. perspective, most of your small country churches are 501c3 by default through Chapter 508c1a. That's the benefit of being a faith-based organization. The reason I mention this is 501c3 formation from scratch takes like a long time. This is 8 to 12 months typically. Maybe there's a fast track. Maybe if you've got friends that can pull connections. But what's interesting is a 508c1a. This is a private membership association. The simplest way to think about this is like a bowling club, right? You join a bowling club and everybody throws $20 into a pot so you guys can get jackets for or like matching bowling ball bags or whatever, right? Like this is the kind of idea. This is a private organization. It's invite only, right? It's not operating or doing business with the public. If you operate in private in that way, essentially you can be considered a not-for-profit organization without going through the normal rigor. So with a 501c3, you have to jump through about, I think it's between like 13 and 15 criteria. You have to jump through a bunch of hoops. 508c1as are considered not-for-profit by default, and that's specifically because they don't sell anything to the public. So obviously a faith base is like the easiest, but and you have to do this with sincerity, right? You have to genuinely believe this. So, but like for me personally, I believe in decentralization. I believe in freedom of exchange. I believe in freedom of movement. I think these things are fundamental to the human experience and fundamental to like my personal spiritual belief. And if there's other people that wanted to join that cause privately, in the same way that the local church might have a spaghetti dinner, a spaghetti fundraiser, or a bake sale, the health department's not in there saying what you put in those cookies, what temperature is your spaghetti, right? Because it's a private event. These are private groupings, and there's a ton of constitutional protection for private associations. And so what I mean by that is, to use the terms of Richard Hart, why are we sucking middleman D, asking the IRS to give us status when you can claim status with 508c1a? You issue your documents, you issue articles of corporation, and you begin operating as a not-for-profit. So it's an interesting angle to take. There's certain ways to do it. There's certain ways to frame things, but education is a major part of organizations of that type. That's in fact one of the criteria that you would use to gain that recognition. So rather than, hey, here's all our paperwork, could you please get back to us the next year and a half, and please let us be a charity? Instead, you're saying, hey, we have constitutional protections, and because we're operating as a private organization, a private association of like-minded individuals, we already have this through 508c1a. So if you guys are interested in it, definitely check out. You can just Google it, and essentially what 508c1a says is all this stuff regulates 501c3s. Also, 501c3s have to open their books to the government. They have to be able to look at everything. 508c1as not so much. 508c1as are a private, protected organization. So something worth looking into if the goal is to have a foundation from the beginning, and an educational arm or chapter of that is totally legitimate. So something I wanted to bring to the group.
Yeah, that's exactly the angle I'm going for.
It's a lot to take in for those that don't know.
Yeah, I know that was probably really dense, but essentially we can have a club. If the club has a faith basis, even better. If we universally agree on that faith basis, which can be very simple, right? Some basic tenets that we all agree upon, which I think we probably already do, because we're surrounding ourselves through the teachings of RH. Essentially, as a ministerial association, we can do educational work as a ministry of crypto, a ministry of decentralization, and you claim that status. You don't ask for it. So that's
the Church of Sci-Live.
That's the elevator pitch.
Gotcha. We've had discussions about religious organizations before. It's definitely been an idea that people have talked about. I don't know how viable it is in this situation, but how viable is any religious organization, to be completely honest. So yeah, interesting.
One of the primary tenets, the one that kind of scares people in an increasingly secular world, is the idea of it kind of requires a belief in a higher power, right, of some sort. And that may not resonate with everyone, but what I say is like, well, what is a higher power to you? Beyond that, like, your tenets are very flexible. So, like, is compounding interest a force that's larger than you? Probably, right? If you believe it in earnest and you gather people around you, you're protected under the U.S. Constitution, and it's a very interesting structure and one that's very genuine. From there, you can get an EIN number, you can open a bank account, you can operate, your chapter, you can hire employees, everything from that point in time. You are treated as a 501c3. You just didn't have to ask permission to be one.
Interesting.
That's interesting. And one
Yeah,
of the
so
reasons
it
why,
needs to be.
one of the reasons why I sit next to a whiteboard. I wrote all that down.
Yes, I'd love to talk about it more. So there's a lot of ideas and stuff about it. I've set up a couple of PMAs in the past. And I'd love to chat about it more if people are interested. We could kind of like get in the nitty gritty. But I saw all this talk about various organizations, and it's like, for what we're trying to do.
Were you listening when I suggested the Atlanta Blockchain Center?
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with their structure, but again, if there's something already existing, and it's willing to work, then by all means, like let's utilize it. But if there was, if there's talk of like starting something fresh or new, that's not happening in a month. You'll be lucky if that happens in 12 months. And as gate kept as we are, it may not happen at all. And that's why I would personally rather just claim it. Say, well, this is it. This is who we are. This is what we are. And, you can't really stop it. Again, that's constitutional. You have a constitutional right to assemble. You have a constitutional right to freedom of belief. So it's very strong. There's very strong precedent for this. And like I said, it's super, super, super common. People just aren't familiar with it.
Nice.
And why don't you have a hammer, Kong? Goodness gracious. Good to see Hex Kong. He's
yeah. You put that in the Telegram too, right?
Day one OG. What's that?
Say again, SJ.
Did you put that? I think you put that in the Telegram.
Yeah, I put a little something in the Telegram before I found your link. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Look at us go. Hive mind brainstorming. This is what it's about, folks.
What it's about.
And then there's coexistence, Stephen.
What's happening, Stephen? How you doing?
He's been quiet there, waiting to get in.
No, I just wanted to get amongst it, to be honest. So I'm just happy to be here. So what's going on? And I've been chatting away to Jimmy in DM, so I'm looking forward to having a conversation with Jimmy as well. I just want to put my small amount of influence behind this, and I think just from hearing.
Oh, cut out. I think he's froze out there.
Kind of way, so I'm excited to see where this can go.
Right on. Have a little connection issue.
Yeah, you cut out there a bit, mate. I just wanted to, while we're waiting for him to cut back in, I just wanted to give Fast Abdul props for how many outfits he's changing and how quick he's doing it. Very efficient.
Oh my goodness.
Feed me up, Scotty, to then.
Crypto and precious metals. Thanks for the $20. Appreciate it. We don't see donations coming in here that often. You guys don't have to. We do appreciate it, but that's not necessary.
They can't. That's not our channel.
What's that?
I don't think that's our channel. We don't.
Where's that coming from?
It's streamed. We're cross streaming.
Oh, gotcha. So we're gonna see it no matter what. Well, anyway, whoever you gave that to, they're thanking you very much.
Somebody's getting that money.
Yeah. If you guys want to donate to this channel, you can read the description of this video.
I think you spread out here quite a few people, haven't you? You've got the YouTube, you've got multiple X people spreading it. What faster do
I'm on X for sure,
Yeah, I'm sure on X.
Wow,
you've got
people there.
We got a lot
of Triple Dad, Fast Abdul, you're doing it as well, are you, Captain IG? And then Wild SJ, you've got over 2K people here, I think.
Good stuff.
It's maxed out. I was trying to stream it as well, but it's maxed out at the moment.
Yeah, how good. What other community does this in crypto? None. Right.
None.
No.
It's not a thing anywhere else.
It's the Cyvive.
Is that the Trinity shirt you got there, Mal?
I made this before Trinity was even a thing. This has got
Oh yeah.
Twitter. This is when it was still Twitter before X. I've still got the Twitter bird on there with my Twitter handle on there. Yeah.
I saw that Trinity shirt come through on Pulse merch the other day.
Yeah.
We cop one of those.
Yeah, I've seen. I think the H shared that, didn't he? That they were handing him out for free.
Pulse store.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you haven't seen that and you want one, go have a look. But yeah, I got this made up myself a long time ago. I've still got, actually, RG, you might be keen to. I've still got a few Hex Diamond shirts from the fight sponsorships I could probably hand out if there's a way we could give any to any lucky viewers. Hang on, I'll go grab one.
Right on, right on. I love those shirts. Those shirts came out nice. They came out really nice.
I'm representing my boy Vets in Crypto.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yay, Vets.
Excellent. Excellent work. Excellent work.
Also, if you guys have any shirts that you're no longer wearing, any crypto shirts, SJ would like them to make a quilt.
No, I don't need any more. I have so many shirts. It's the biggest quilt ever. I have so many shirts. It's fantastic. It's gonna be super cool, actually. Like
I have 2 Poor Pleb shirts. I was going to keep one, and I was going to send you one.
I might actually need a Poor Pleb shirt. I don't know if I ever kept one of those because I
have a black one and a white one. Which would you rather?
Probably the black one.
All right, I'll send you the black one, or I'll bring it down if I come to the thing.
Yeah. So
Hey, can you send me a Paul Pleb shirt? I had a Paul Pleb shirt from Hexy Bastard when I went to London, and I met him in person, and he gave one to me, but I lost it when I was a bit intoxicated out and about.
So he was supposed to come to the first Vegas Pulse Con, but instead he sent a bunch of shirts and asked everybody to wear them. And I got a couple, and I wore his shirts to a couple of events.
So I've got some of these still brand new wrapped.
Those are nice ones. Those are really nice.
I don't know. Is there a way we can do a giveaway to someone or what? How do we?
Well, what?
Yeah, I'll drop my address in chat. You can give it to me.
Well, if everyone's scared about the piracy, it's not like I'm going to fly across the ocean and come and hunt you down.
I would like to give that shirt to somebody if you don't mind.
Yeah, I've got this, and I've got spare pulse chain hats like this with the Discourse Syndicate logo on the side that I can.
What size?
Do a shirt and a hat. Hey,
what size is it?
That's a medium. I've got a couple mediums. I'll check what else.
If you got to have fat fuck size.
Yeah, I was gonna say don't bother sending it.
I want you to send one to Dorsey. Dorsey deserves a shirt, and he's close to you. So he's gone. So anyway, while we're there, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring up ID. What's up, dude?
What's up, Cap?
How you doing?
Doing good. How's everyone?
We're
good, man.
All
good.
Ecstatic. Everybody's coming together. We're chatting about good stuff and uplifting the community and making things happen, man.
Gotcha. I'm glad that there's this conversations happening with these nonprofits. Something that was suggested in the summer of 23 by some peoples. And I don't want to get into the whole details about the whole Pulse Chain Foundation because I know it's spicy and I know I get spicy and we're trying to have the kumbaya moment. But I tried to mention it because if something were to happen in the future, the name that shows up is Identity Block. Okay? Marlon ended up doing a name variation in March of 2024 called Pulse Chain Foundation DAO. Okay?
We ain't gonna rehash it. Okay.
Just saying.
Oh yeah, if we're not gonna rehash this here, we're talking about other stuff. So
just saying. Okay. Because I mean it's legal. The problem is it's legal though. Okay. So I've been here for 8 years in this community, and I get disrespected all the time.
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to deal with it. This is not the place, man. This is go do that somewhere else, man. This is not the place. I didn't wrong you. This place didn't wrong you, and go deal with that somewhere else. Sorry, bro, but I've
Also,
always
like,
been.
should that ever be an issue, that bridge will get crossed when we get there.
Yes.
Yeah. Not when we're on the topic of different things on a stream. Not appropriate.
Yeah, no, I'm always willing to listen to everybody, but we've hashed this out a million times, and it's just a worthless conversation here. That needs to be had somewhere else. That's not this channel or these people's issue, and that's not what we're talking about tonight. So
I'd like to talk about my ex-wife a little bit. Is that all right?
Yeah, me too.
Oh no,
she's awful, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought we were winding up.
Don't even get me started on that. If Dawsy's still here and you're listening, hit me up. Give me a message,
Dorsey,
give me a number.
hit him up. He's going to get you a shirt.
He's got my phone number. Just give me a ring.
Maybe for one of your kids, not you, but
I'll find a large one. I've got heaps of mediums there, but I'll find a large one if I dig.
No, not large, bro. He needs like triple X.
On that note, I think I'm going to step down and make room for anybody else that wants to come up. I appreciate you guys having me on. It was good meeting you all and chatting, and I hope to see you soon.
Hey, you had great info, bud. I appreciate
love to chat with you a little bit about it too.
Yeah, hit me up. I'm on Telegram, same name. I'm on X, same name.
All
right. So you'll find me in Mote it be. Mote it be. It means like let it be so.
Yeah.
So Mote it be PLS. Mote it be PLS. Let's
let it be.
Let it be so.
Like it.
All right. Be well. See you all soon.
See you, mate.
Right on. Seven, you got something for us, man. Steven. Go exist.
No, not really. As I was just saying before, when I was having the connection issues, I was just basically just wanting to put my energy and my time behind it. I think obviously the way that Jimmy was explaining how he's going about it, I think he's very intelligent, and I really wanted to support him. We've already been discussing things in the background, and when I saw that tweet from Richard, I went to start creating a charity, but then because Jimmy's already basically got the ball rolling for several months, it seemed just more intelligent to combine the energy rather than scatter the energy. So all I wanted to do was just basically be here and throw my support behind it, and in whatever way, shape, or form that I can. And seeing the energy that's being brought to the community, like SJ's energy at the start, was really infectious. So it's really good to continue to spread that as a community. So yeah, whatever we do, however we do it, I just want to get behind it.
Right on.
Appreciate it.
There are a ton of people in this community like that, right? There aren't many people when you see a post or you're in a room or listening to a stream or any of that, any of the socials that we use, where you hear this is a project we're working on as a community, and then a ton of people chime in to help. There's a whole bunch of little scammers and people that fight and everything, but the people that want to help far outweigh the people that want to bring you grief, right? I love that about this place. It's awesome.
You got me all wrong, man. I'm at war with everybody. I don't like coexisting with anyone.
Believe me, I've had my share of wars, but there's a lot of people that hit my DMs with a little bit of hate.
Yeah,
but I think some of the ideas that have been discussed here are really good, and it sounds like, I mean, I was looking at my particular map, so I run a meditation center and I do letterbox drops all the time, and I can quite easily cover like a 10-kilometer radius, and a 10-kilometer radius in Brisbane just by foot is like basically 5 or 10% of Brisbane. But then I'm thinking about it as well. There'll be parts of Brisbane where it's probably not worth delivering things to, and it would be the same in every capital city in Australia. I imagine everywhere else, you wouldn't really be delivering, say, to the poorer kind of suburbs. So I think it'd be pretty easy to just gather the energy, get people together, and just do letterbox drops over a certain period of time. And then there was some suggestions as well about going to stadiums and places like that. I also thought I'm sure you've got it in America, like big shopping malls, and just going to the tech places and maybe asking them if they want to hand out to any customer that comes through the door. There's lots of different ideas, different ways that you can attack it.
Yeah, I'm excited for that part of it.
How are you in Brisbane and me and you haven't spoken before? It's just blown my mind.
I don't know, man. Like, yeah, it's pretty. I guess I've got a pretty smallish kind of channel. I think it's just I've only really started streaming or talking. I've been day one in Hex, but I've only really started being involved in the community since the launch of Pulse Chain. So, but I know that there's a really big, like, there's tons of people, even on my channel, with like just under 5K subscribers that are always talking about, like, let's have a meet up in Brisbane and like the Australian
Bloody
community.
hell! I've been trying to do this for ages.
Yeah, we just got to do it. We just got to do
You
it.
would have
guys.
seen. You would have seen my face all over the south of Brisbane as the election. I was a candidate in the election, mate.
Yeah, bro, I saw that. I've seen you in the chat. Yeah, that was you. So yeah, I guess I'm. I don't know. I'm
And you've
low-key
obviously
like
missed
that.
out on all the fight shows that we were doing too. So we'll have to get you to come
I
to the
would
next
say
one that
so.
we do.
Yeah, man, for sure. You just let me know. I'm pretty inactive in that group chat, but I guess I just kind of jumped in there, and Jimmy happened to be sharing what he was doing.
Yeah.
So
Right,
yeah, it sounds
I'll
like
hit you both up in that in between or after this, boys. We'll keep chatting after this.
Yeah,
man,
for sure.
sounds good.
I love that.
Right
Look at the
on.
community coming together.
Yeah, well, it's not late here.
Yeah, it's only 3 p.m. here. Hey, if you're not far from me, I've got a barbecue and a fire pit going tonight. I've been slow cooking ribs.
Now we're
all day.
talking.
Whereabouts are you? North side or south side?
I won't go into too much on here, but yeah.
Fair
I'll
enough.
DM you. Yeah, I'll DM you.
I would like to address Australian in the chat. Look, when you talk about inflation, you look at the inflation model of Hex. It's much better than the inflation model of Bitcoin. And when you look at the time frame of that inflation coming out, the argument doesn't make any sense. Bitcoin is going to be inflating for 120 years. So none of us are going to see the end of it, and none of us are going to see the end of Hex's inflation. So Hex's inflation is better. And the reason for that is, if you understand staking, you'll see why. You'll see why delayed inflation is much better than straight inflation given to miners who are going to dump that coin right off the bat to pay electric bills. So it's just a little bit of understanding and education there. You can kind of figure it all out.
Just a topic. The price of electricity in Australia has gone through the, excuse my language, fucking roof.
Everywhere.
So,
everywhere.
Well, we solved that. Hex solves that. Pulse solves that.
It do.
Solar panels solve it.
Just out of curiosity, for the lads in Australia, I mean, I don't know what it's like in America, but obviously in Australia, the big four banks are really shadow banning everything to do with crypto under the guise of our protection. So you're not allowed to transfer money to, like, have you come up
10K a month?
We're getting hit hard at the moment.
But that's true, right? Because my partner is Ty. He lives in Melbourne, right? So I talk to him all the time. He has hard times doing that. But you guys have had Satoshi Living Room forever, right? We have never had that. We have never had Satoshi's Living Room. So you guys have been able to pay your bills with crypto for what, 5 years?
Sorry, what's Satoshi's Living Room?
Satoshi's Living Room is like, you guys, all of your bills and so credit cards, all of your utilities have a bill pay number, right? And you can put that bill pay number into Satoshi's Living Room, and there's a whole bunch of accepted cryptos within Satoshi's Living Room, and you can actually, instead of sending crypto to your bank account, you could charge stuff on a miles card and pay that card off with crypto.
Yeah. Our issue is the other way. trying to get money into crypto.
Yeah. It's harder for us to get it in than it is to get it out. Yeah. They're more than happy for us to take it out because
They
then they
can
tax
take,
us
you can take out as much
52%
as you
on
want.
it.
So
They want us to pull it out. Yeah, getting it in. Yeah. And all the banks have gone like, Jimmy probably knows he runs his own businesses. I run my own business. Even now through company and business bank accounts, it's become a lot more difficult for us to actually do anything. Like they are really, really tightening up and cracking down on it here.
They freeze your account. They literally freeze it.
They will just insta freeze your account, and then you've got to fight to get it unfrozen.
Yeah.
Well, the question that I wanted to ask you specifically, Jimmy, was have you come across any difficulties with setting up the charity in relation to that, or any kind of roadblocks that you've come up against because of the kind of perspective on cryptocurrency here in Australia?
Oh, this charity's got nothing to do with crypto. That's well, it's an educational platform more than a crypto charity. Like you ring up a lawyer and say, "Oh, I want to set up a crypto charity," they just hang up on you. Like there's no one out there willing to take those sort of risks. So what I'll explain the plan detail to you, absolutely. But it's slow and steady that's going to win this and get us on the inside. And we need to do it the right way, litigated correctly, to create a platform in the beginning that can just help people with education from preventing scams is the main angle.
It's a great angle because it's the same angle that the banks use.
Exactly, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm fighting fire with fire. They can't argue with it. No politician can argue with it and then once we start doing it and we have locations where people can go regularly, say once a month to go in Sydney and then once a month in Melbourne, then I'll be there at these events describing security. And of course, what I'm going to be wearing what I like and things like that. But
you're gonna wear the mankini?
And all the Hexicans are going to start that to begin with, and it's just going to be sort of within our group, but it'll branch out and grow naturally from there.
The interesting thing I see about you three right here is that if you went on Twitter, right, X, and listened to the FUD, to see 3 Hex people that have been since day one, proto-Hexicans, right, complaining out putting about money into the system, right? Because everybody thinks you guys are taking money out.
No,
right? You guys are
haven't taken money out for years.
Yeah. You guys are taking fiat and putting it into the system still.
I'm literally selling everything I have pretty much. So I have all detachments gone within my life, commitments, and driving this forward.
That's awesome.
Are you selling your ass on the corner or what?
Whatever it takes.
I don't know. What's the price?
Whatever it takes to make it, eh?
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just half Australian. How often does that happen? I think it's disproportionate. Kick 2 of these guys off.
We're fighters. We don't give up.
Hey, I literally am, right?
Exactly.
This is a good time, I think, as well, while we're discussing this kind of pathway forward of doing it slow and steady, and especially because you're here, Mayo, it's something that I've been thinking a lot about, particularly within the last few months. The political landscape in Australia and eventually getting some form of like representation in there related to decentralized finance and cryptocurrency. It's something that I definitely want to work towards and be a part of, and really start to harness the community in a way that instead of necessarily going for the short term, let's buy a Lambo and a mansion, like let's use percentages of our money to start funding political parties that can start to get our incentives into the world.
So
Australia.
the first generation Hexicans have got that out of their system, you see, and now what's left is people that care about the actual product and the freedom and the values that stand behind it. We're like, I'm over buying cool cars and stuff. Like, how many cool cars can you have? But helping people and making sure that our freedoms stand in our countries is far more important and goes beyond our existence. So, and it reaches so further into the future that like a rusty old Lambo in 30 years' time, who's going to give a rat's ass about that?
Well, you won't be able to drive it soon if we don't keep our freedom, so we're fighting.
Yeah, we'll be speed limited or something. So Yeah.
That's been the message here. You know,
It's always been the message
from day one.
Keep
I've
bringing
always
it back.
sure that we
I
want
put my hat on. Look, we've got the same.
Yeah, we
The
want
thing with Australia is though the size and scale of the country is it seems to me that it would be a lot easier to be at the forefront of innovating this type of thing in politics as opposed to somewhere like the USA, where it seems like you've got a lot more diverse range of opinions and people and everything to convince. Whereas Australia, it just seems like it's this perfect size, perfect scale of people, perfect amount of wealth to actually be at the forefront of something for a change instead of always lagging behind everybody else, always waiting for somebody else.
Weren't you guys in the last election very close to being on the forefront? But then, from what I understand about the way your political system works, there's two other parties that band together and beat the party that had the most votes. Is that true?
Yeah. So I'll give you a quick hot tip on the last election.
It's media control.
Yeah, but so we run a system where, how do I explain this? Dumb it down. There's a I can't think of the word now. Hang on, bear with me.
You guys
there's a preferencing vote system, right?
Right.
So there's some minor parties which have teamed together with the major parties and have worked together to manipulate how the votes work. So for what happened this election was the opposition leader who actually lost his local seat, he actually won the majority of preference 1 votes, but due to the preferencing from the other 2-3 parties, he lost his seat and lost his position.
Because they can assign their preferences to another person.
Yes.
Not unlike how Kamala Harris was the Democrat nominee.
Yeah,
it was very similar.
Yeah, so it's the preferencing system here is basically rigged for a normie not to understand it. So when I could go and grab some out of my shed. I still got all the how to vote. They're a how to vote. We call them a how to vote card here in Australia. So I've got some here from how I ran. I've got a how to vote card with my face on it, my party, and the preferences in which we would vote for myself and the other freedom parties, which I would think in priority. But the major parties have done this and they've teamed up with some minor parties formed off with them. So then people go into a voting booth blind and they go, I don't know anything. I'm just going to vote for Liberal or Labor and then follow the card. So it's ruthless, man. At the voting booth, these people are pushing in front of you, trying to give their cards out and trying to manipulate the vote. So I've documented all this, man, for me running. Like, it was insane, man. Like, my biggest opposition was the Green. They call them the Greens here, which is basically Labor. And they're meant to be all about climate change, all the bullshit, blah, blah, blah. But what they do is they put themselves as number 1 and they hand out all their cards preferencing Labor as number 2. So because of this preferencing system and people follow that card blindly, because they've put themselves at 1, they'll never get in. They will never win the majority of votes. But then having the preference number 2 then pushes Labor up above the Liberal opposition, and it just knocks them out. And that's basically how Labor beat and got in.
And they're selling influence, and they're going to get favored in some deals down the street that are going through Parliament or something like that.
Yeah. It's a big rabbit hole to go down, and we could go on here ages and hours and hours. But that's simplifying as best I could, as quick as I could.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Speaking about hours, real quick, gentlemen, I'm going to interrupt you and celebrate this moment with a tiny cigar, because this is the longest I think I've ever been on a stream consecutively.
Oh,
so that good excuse.
Congratulations, thumbs up for that. And I just wanted to say again as well, and on behalf of everyone else, thanks for all the work that you guys are doing. Thanks for Wild, SJ, Captain RG, having this platform where we can all get on here and talk. And everyone else for being here. It's insane what you've been through and what you've committed to for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I got here late.
Appreciate you.
It's been like 3 years for me, I think.
What cigar is that, Miss SJ?
This is a teeny tiny. It's a Deadwood. It's one of the. It's like a Sweet Jane.
Oh, a Sweet Jane.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Just a little dessert.
Yeah, I think as you see in my comment on your post, Captain, I think you've got to do the Conor McGregor review, and that might get a couple of hits, I reckon. That's a bit of a hot topic at the moment.
He's got a cigar out, huh?
Yeah.
Well, he did whiskey, so why not a cigar?
Yep. He's got his hands everywhere. So
hey, we got that.
Yeah, I reckon if you grab one of them and do a decent review, I think it'll get a few hits. It's pretty popular.
I have to go give it a try. Those cigars are hard to find though. When they're like kind of one-off type stuff. What was the one essay that you got for your buddy that she wanted, the Chelsea
Plum.
Chelsea Plum, the best she put out a cigar. They're really these things are hard to find when they're small batches like that. But anyway,
they're called Notorious. I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah, man. No. I think it's going to be a thing. I don't think it's a limited edition. I think it's going to be a constant production.
Yeah, well, we'll have to taste one and see what it's like because we're pretty snobby around here. We like what we like, and not just anybody. Well, I'm sure he's probably got some people putting a good stick together. So we'll have
he's done some videos with them hand rolling them all and done a bit of a it's pretty cool how they've made them.
What is it? What's it made of, Triple?
It's a 6x50 Conor McGregor Notorious Toro. $13.50 a piece for a single.
Okay, what's it wrapped with? What's wrapper binder filler?
It is a blend.
All this is just going straight over my head.
It's Nicaraguan.
All Nicaraguan.
And Dominican.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dominican binder filler or
so
wrapper?
So the filler is Nicaraguan from the Jalpa Valley and San Victor so the filler is actually Dominican also.
Oh. Really?
So it's a Dominican blend. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it. My favorite.
Oh, yeah.
My favorites, Dominicans. All right, so Connor, you're gonna get. I'll get a cigar and give it a review.
Box of 10 is only $120. I'll put a link in chat.
Okay. All right, where are you seeing it at? Cigar Bid or
Cigars Daily?
Cigars Daily. Yeah, that guy. He's got a pretty good show. Like to tap into that guy's market. He's got a big following.
And they're in stock.
Okay.
There you go.
Maybe a 5-pack with one being held for a buddy that might be coming to Southern California to try it out. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But
We'd probably try and get that imported here, and they'd probably take it in customs.
Do you guys? Is there a big cigar culture at all in?
Nah, not that I'm aware of.
No.
Have you seen the cigarette packets? What's on the cigarette packets?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy in Europe. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. Like you can't even see the cigars. They wrap them with this warning label, and you can't even read what cigar it is. You have to look at the small label.
Have you seen our labels? They've got pictures of
dead lungs,
and organs.
Children,
hearts.
So Ty vapes, and he said that you guys had just a outrageous vape law revamp in the last.
Yeah, just cutting in actually. Yeah, they're cracking down at big time. But
they're pulling all the flavored vapes off the shelves in California. All the flavored vapes, they're gone. They're done. They're removing them from the shelves. I mean, it's wild. It's wild.
And just so you know, SJ, flavored cigars are they're trying to put that on those lists too. So sweet cigars are they're considered that flavored tobacco.
I think
for some reason, these ones aren't because
they're just like sugar. Yeah.
Sugar dipped. Yeah.
Yeah, they're sugar dip versus flavor.
Nice.
Yeah. So they've gotten away with it, and pipe tobaccos get away with it too for whatever reason. Their natural flavorings or whatever. So they've released pipe tobacco and some of these cigars that have these sweet tips. All right, everybody. Well, hey, we've been doing this for 3 hours, and we're
yeah, I've got my ribs. They're probably burning in the barbecue.
Ooh, good.
Everybody coming. Appreciate all of you. We'll see you guys next week. Anybody else got anything to say before I shut her down?
Thanks for running this place, SJ, and reading that all that stuff. That was awesome, and it'll be a good reference point for people who miss this, the replay game, right? To go back and revisit everything that you brought up. If you're too lazy to read yourself, Miss SJ read the whole thing or quite a bit of it.
I sure did, and I'm putting the link to the Telegram once again in the chat. It's in the description of this video. If you have information, you've got a charity, you got logistics, come into that Telegram and put the messages there, please.
Awesome.
Check out the pins in there. Catch yourself up.
Yep.
All right, everybody.
Cool.
Thanks for coming. See you next week. And keep up the good work, Hexicans. We're all doing great. Things are getting ready to change. Excited. Yeah. Excited. See ya.